We're live. Yeah, sorry about the delay. I didn't think NXT was going over that long. So we're still going to do the show, though. Still have plenty to talk about. So we're going to wait a little bit to see if we can get some people in here, and then we will get started.
Hell yeah, just tweeted it out. So good to go. And then I've got it playing here.
All right, we got 6 people in here so far.
Good deal. What's up, everyone who's in the chat? Make sure to make your thoughts known in the comments. You have questions, you have feelings of what we just saw on NXT, or anything you want to see on WrestleMania. We want to know your comments.
Yeah, for sure. We'll probably get started with NXT first, since it's fresh on everybody's mind. Let me get this out here.
Cool. Sorry, y'all. We're a little unprepared because the show literally went an hour longer than we were expecting. So we're just kind of getting set up and everything here.
I knew we were in trouble when I saw that Finn and Cross was it was 9:40 or whatever, 8:40, and I'm either the main event's getting 10 minutes or this thing is about to be way over.
Yeah, we wound up getting the hour. The hour. I mean, what do you want to start with, or do you want to just hang for a second and see what people are saying? Let people kind of trickle in.
Well, I think this is weird. I think this is weird that that we have to start with the main event but I want to go what's fresh on my mind right now. So let's talk about the Kyle O'Reilly Adam Cole match.
Cool.
This match kind of confused me. So I thought the effort was amazing. I thought the spots were cool. There definitely was some extra spots that we've never seen before from them. But man, I thought the pacing was really off on this thing. It felt like it went 40, 45 minutes. I don't know how long it went, but that's what it felt like. And I just expected more of a faster pace, in your face type of match. And this was really a lot about storytelling. And honestly, when they brought out the chains, I was just bro, they're going to act like we've never seen their matches before. And so that kind of bothered me. I thought that their entrance music, their new entrance music, I wasn't a fan really of either one. I liked Kyle's new look. Adam to me looks pretty still Undisputed Era. Basically, Undisputed Era was kind of already off of Adam's design, so that's kind of what it looks like. But I thought both musics were pretty generic. I don't know what Mike Johnson's doing, but maybe they should give him a call again, because those were not really capturing what I was expecting. But I don't want to crap on this match. These guys killed themselves in there. Kyle's back was ravaged. Adam's hand was cut. They went for it. They told a story, but man, it just felt almost like a segment instead of a match at points. And it just went really, really long.
Yeah, it was definitely really long. And especially because I think people were expecting, because last night ended around 9 your time, right?
Right.
So it's I think people were kind of had the mindset of it going, a certain amount of time. So then once it kind of hit that 10, here's a perfect example. My brother and one of my friends were over watching the show, and they both left a little after 10 because they thought it was going to be over at 10. They got stuff to do tomorrow. They had planned for 10 o'clock because last night was 10 o'clock. And so it's just one of those things where I think everyone's kind of, and then for someone like myself who's been watching independentwrestling.tv and Fight TV all day as well, it starts to get long. But I will say this, I said it on our last podcast, Kyle and Adam are probably my two overall favorite wrestlers in the WWE. I've wanted this match since both guys signed. I love their stuff that they did, before the WWE. So, it was going to be hard to live up to real expectations. I didn't really know what to expect out of this one, but I think they went hard as hell in there. Like you said, I thought they really, they told a good story. And the only real criticism I would have, outside of maybe the length of just being a bit too long, is that you really see I can't like really point fingers for sure, but there seems to be kind of a pattern in certain NXT matches where it's like that Shawn Michaels influence of like the over storytelling.
Yes.
It's like the second Adam Cole starts yelling like, "You hear me? You understand?" It's like he's about to get finished because like they never just say all that and then just win. Like it just never works out that way. And we saw it a lot. It was something that is a big reason I started souring on Johnny Gargano is because a lot of his matches I'd be really into, and then he'd just like look lovingly into his opponent's eyes and like hold their hands. Like it was like a love story between him and Ciampa at points where I was like, this is kind of soft. Like I want to see these guys beat the hell out of each other. I want to see them like hugging each other. Like so I think there's just a little bit of all that with this. But I did like the match. I did enjoy it, and I love Kyle winning. Like Kyle winning was
that too.
That's the right move, and the finish was great. Like it looked brutal with the leg
chair
drop
collapsing. If the chair didn't collapse, I don't think it would have looked as good. But when the chair collapsed, it made it look more powerful. So I agree with that.
And sounded better too when it folded.
Yeah. For sure, it looked good. But it's almost like the story they told was basically like Kyle had to go to a level that he normally doesn't go to. But it's almost like he has to sell his soul to go to that level. So it feels like to me, if they were to get rid of Adam, like Adam's off TV or Adam's gone, then Kyle needs to be heel, not face. Because it's like I went to a level that I didn't know I could, and I damn near killed my best friend or former best friend, and now I have no emotion left. Now I am on a rampage. Like that's the type that it feels like. It didn't feel like that a baby face just overcame his biggest foe. To me, it came more across like someone that had to basically tap into something that he never wanted to, but now it's there forever type thing.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. He sunk down to his level kind of thing to get
because he was hesitant. He was hesitant to even hurt him doing the final suplex on the steel steps, and then it was like the only way he could beat Kyle was he had to do what he didn't feel comfortable with doing. So to me, it's like almost like he's hitting that switch that it takes him away from being a babyface. Like he's standing there watching Adam Cole get stretchered on a gurney with the neck brace and everything. And it's like he doesn't really know how to register that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm interested to see how what stories come out of this, because I think it's pretty clear Adam Cole, that looked like his send-off to me from NXT. I'd imagine he'll be on Raw or SmackDown sometime shortly after WrestleMania. Not that I necessarily want that to happen, but I also don't want him to get into Gargano and Ciampa purgatory where they're going to have good matches, but they're just not going to keep being they just can't be the champions forever. And they have to eventually just start putting other people over. So, yeah, and also with Kyle, if they make his character, because I think ultimately, I don't know if it happens right away, but we talked about it last week. If this leads to Kyle versus Karrion Kross at some point down the line, and he's the one who beats Karrion, maybe if that's kind of the story that you're saying, maybe he needs that part of him, to beat someone like Karrion Kross, he needs to know he can go there, because Karrion's a monster. They made him look unstoppable. So, because also, isn't it annoying when, there were wrestlers, I remember Bailey, this being the story years ago, where she was afraid to go hardcore or whatever. And, I hate those kind of stories where it's you're also a pro wrestler. This is about beating people up and winning matches and making money and settling scores. I don't want to see you wimp out of taking someone out who's been destroying your life.
Right. So, well, and that's the thing. That was the kind of the story that was just kind of weird to me. I don't know. It was a good match though. I'm not saying it wasn't a good match, and I'm not saying they didn't bust their ass. So I feel weird about it. But do I feel fulfilled? That was everything that I wanted? Not really. To me, the video package was unbelievable. They hit a home run with that. If you watch on the network, there's actually like a 12-minute version of that thing, and it's awesome. One of my favorite lines in it was Adam Cole was like, you say you can't sleep good at night or whatever, and he's like, well, I just buy a better bed.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's such a Hill thing to say, but yeah. So it was a cool build-up, cool storylines. I'm also iffy on the fans and the screens and the piped-in noise, which didn't seem to me. It didn't seem like they used much piped-in noise tonight. Last night they did, but tonight it seemed like that they learned their lesson on that end. But it's like a mix of both. So you still feel like that you're in like the dome, but there's fans too. I don't know. It was just weird to get used to.
Yeah. And Kogan just made a comment. I think that's maybe what I was talking about. It was something about her like not wanting to use a Singapore cane or something. We've seen that story in the past, though, is my point, is like that story of like somebody just not willing. Actually, it was the Gargano and Ciampa story. Like that was Gargano's whole thing was he couldn't go to Gargano, he couldn't go to Ciampa's level, and he kept losing.
It's almost like Shawn Michaels really has his hands on both of these feuds. Like it seems like it to me. So yeah, it's starting to look like a pattern. But yeah, like I said, it was good. The one final thing I'll say about it, like at first it felt like a PG version of Final Battle. That's really what it felt like.
Kind of, what I mean? Way less blood.
Way less blood, not as brutal, much more slower, more methodical, more talking about the story than an actual match and a fight. But then towards the end, it started to pick up with bigger spots and false finishes and things like that. So overall, I mean, I'd probably give it like an 8 out of 10 on that match. Like I thought it was a good match. It's just, I just feel like that they could have formatted it differently. Sure. Shawn's got to realize not everything can be Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, and not every storyline requires that. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
And you have to acknowledge that, like they did, but they didn't. Like you have to understand the history of these guys. And if you're an NXT fan, you likely know what's going on, unless you just are a WWE fan that only watches NXT, like because you give it a chance because it's a WWE product. But like, we've seen these guys before. We've seen these guys kill each other before. So yeah, I don't know. It was just kind of weird.
I think there's gonna be a lot. I think there's gonna be a lot of mixed feelings from the fan base about it. Like, I think everyone's gonna agree that it was a good match and they went out there and worked hard as hell. But I think a lot of people are gonna also think that it was like long. So I think we're gonna see a lot of that. Yeah.
So what did you think of Finn and Cross?
I thought it was really good. Like for what I actually expected it to be shorter, to be honest, because I just know how much of a monster they're trying to make Karrion Kross out to be. So like, and he's a good choice. Like, I mean, he checks every box that WWE's looking for. So, and also
the only thing that concerns me is like whenever they put big production into these guys, when they start to not get as pushed, the production kind of goes away. Yeah. And then it just kind of like falls flat. You know what I mean? Like you can only do this for so long. So that's my, like, like your Aleister Blacks, right? Like it's this huge entrance, the whole thing. And then after a while, it's just kind of like, all right, just come out to your music, whatever,
That's very true. They do that with a lot of people, almost everybody. And I really don't like, I haven't ever, and I still don't like Scarlett lip syncing the entrance. I just think it looks cheesy. But if they change that, and it was just because I think the pairing of him and her looks awesome. Like the two of them together is like a great visual. But if his entrance just started where like the music just picks up and like the strobes are going and the red lighting and stuff, and he's just standing there like next to her, I think that does more for him than her coming out and like pretending to sing the song before he comes out. So
yeah. I do like, though, that it goes black to white to color when the music hits. I think that's dope. They do a good job on that. So, I mean, and I don't know what you do with Finn. Like, does he want to go back to the WWE? Does he want to stay in NXT? Like, I don't understand what you do there. And with Cross, like he seems destined to go to the WWE soon. So I just don't know the path of him being champion and how long he stays there and all that. Like, to me, NXT, like, the younger stars aren't really there anymore. Like, the ones that are the more up and coming that really get you going, they're more of the, I don't know how you say it, but more the lower end indie guy or the more developmental type. Because, like, let's say, I mean, like, when they signed Kevin Steen and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly and Roderick Strong, like, and Kenta and Finn and Pac, like, and Sami Zayn, like, these were huge names in the independents. We're getting to the point now where, like, a Shane Strickland, I mean, yes, he's good, don't get me wrong, but these aren't the same type of names. And if you lose Adam Cole, if you lose Finn, I don't know if NXT can really, like, carry that brand without those guys.
Yeah, I don't know how they're gonna do it. You know, like that's a whole, like, I do a whole podcast on just that, because, like, so much of that has to do with the progression of these guys and girls in the indies now. Things are just happening so much faster for them than it used to be. So, like, someone like Blake Christian, for instance, who was, you know, a security guard tonight in the main event, you know, he's one of the most entertaining in-ring guys in the world, in my opinion.
Right.
But his run at, like, the quote unquote top of the indies was very, very short, because the WWE went on a hiring spree and, like, they picked up, you know, Alex Zane, Ben Carter, like, all these guys are kind of in the same boat where they're Christian Casanova, like, all these guys are getting signed. And I think they definitely have the talent to be where they're going, but they didn't have, like, the 5-10 years of, like, being big time indie names and have, like, this, because part of it was a lot of these guys had so much fan support because they were the indie darlings that WWE didn't want. So, like, we were behind them because we're like, you know what, if you don't want them, we don't know why, because they're more entertaining than the guys you're putting on the show. And we were going out there supporting the Davey Richards of the world. You know what I mean? So it's like, so I think that's a big part of it too. Like, it all just moves so much faster. And, you know, and I think the indies are good, because I think the next generation is ready too. Like, there's a lot of talent, I think, on the undercard of the indies now that's ready to take those main spots if it just keeps moving quickly. But I think that's what we're seeing. And I think that's why we're going to get that Evolve show for NXT also, to introduce probably people like, you know, Blake Christian, who didn't have a lot of time on the indies, you know, before he gets to NXT or something like that. Yeah,
like Adam Cole has been in the business for 13 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's either it's time to put him on the WWE major brand, or, like, he can't stay in NXT. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, you've got to go on and move him up. And like I said, I feel like part of me feels like that they're really about to start the movement of NXT being the developmental system again. And not being advertised as a third brand anymore, because I think that's one of the big reasons why they're changing people's names, is because they want their own creations, and they're not willing to get buzz by taking people and using those names to put on their program. And so I think from here on out, I don't care who they sign, they're changing their name.
I think it's going to happen to most of them. And AEW played a big part in that too, because there was that span where they were letting people keep their names. And then once AEW came around, but I mean, every now and then, like, it's a good example. Like Kurt Stallion kept his name from the indies, and he's on 205 Live. And, like, I don't know why. I mean, like, it was his name on the indies. I'm sure he either owns the name or he sold it to the WWE. I don't know. But it's, you know, it's weird how they kind of pick and choose who gets to keep them and who doesn't. But I'm with you. I think 99% of the people that get signed, you're going forward, they'll change their name because they want the rights to their likenesses.
Yeah. And they don't want necessarily if I look up an Adam Cole or a Kyle O'Reilly match, Ring of Honor stuff pops up. They want their own type of stuff. So I heard this, which makes me sad, but I knew it was going to happen. Yeah. He's not going to make he wasn't going to make it. When they said that he was in basically a vegetable state, like, you don't come back from that. That's just basically a family deciding on whether you are going to live or die, like, but you're just prolonging the process, but you're done. You're brain dead. So when I heard that, I knew that was it.
Yeah, it's a bummer. I liked his music.
Oh, man. I grew up with DMX. Like his first 3 albums were incredible. And like he was a guy that was willing to like have songs with Marilyn Manson and sing. Like you weren't seeing too many rappers like having arguments with the devil, and like he was just a really deep dude. I mean, I'll probably listen to Slippin' tonight and probably cry because he was a huge part of like that whole Limp Bizkit, DMX, Korn,
for sure.
Kid Rock, like Eminem, Jay-Z, like all that era.
Oh yeah,
so
for sure. I bumped like, Rough Riders Anthem often growing up.
Oh, for sure. And like I'm the DMX the first album with the intro, I mean Tyson came out to that, Chuck Liddell always came out to that, and then Anderson Silva, Ain't No Sunshine. Yep. Like he definitely left an imprint. I mean, I think he's one of the most underrated when it comes to like all-time greats because, like I said, his first 3 albums were absolutely ridiculous. He fell off a little bit after that, but I hate to see him pass away. It's unfortunate. But I one time heard him basically say like that his outcome is already determined. It doesn't matter how famous he is, how much money he has, where he came from, like this is the way he's going to go out. And I mean, he was a true drug addict. There's no doubt about it. Like he's been fighting this stuff forever and he just couldn't beat it. And he lost his life because of it. So it's unfortunate. Like I said, big DMX fan.
Yeah, it's sad. It's too bad. Cause he was huge. He was like late 90s, early 2000s and stuff, all the movies and stuff he was into. I mean, he was like everybody knew DMX. I mean, even if you were joking about it, you know what I mean? Yep. Like it was like everyone knew what that was, you know? Like
what? Real dog sniff blood.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Yeah, rest in peace, DMX.
For sure.
Sucks.
That's a bummer.
But all right. After that note, what did you think? So anyways, about Cross, the where I thought they should have finished it to make him look like a real killer is when he was elbowing Finn in the back of the head and everything. I think Finn just shouldn't have got up. I think he should have just been out cold. They raised his hand. And that's it. Like, I don't think he should have continued after that. That would have made him look like an absolute killer. So
no, I agree. He looked like he was out. And what I like that they didn't do the thing they normally do with these kind of NXT matches where someone's knocked out and the referee like separates the wrestlers and like checks on the person who's out cold. I'm always like, if you have to be checking, shouldn't that person just have lost? Like they're out. It's over. You know, like why is the referee checking to make sure they're okay before this person attacks them? So
and then one more spot. Sorry about the Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly. Like Adam Cole knocks out the referee, but then he goes for his finisher and he's upset that the referee is out cold. Like, dude, you knocked him out. Like, what did you expect?
I totally agree.
I thought that was kind of just unnecessary sloppiness, but whatever.
And he's like yelling, "Wake up!" at him. It's like you just knocked him out. Yelling, wake up in his face.
Yeah.
Kind of cheesy.
Whatever. But yeah, so I thought that the match was, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't expect it to be anything amazing. Finn kind of has a different style in WWE, and Cross is definitely somewhat limited. He's more about character and look and all that stuff, but I don't think he's terrible or anything. And I guess Disco Inferno trained him.
No way, really?
Yeah, I think so. And because he's from Vegas and Disco lives in Vegas, and Disco was like bragging about it on Twitter. And I know he's been pushing Cross a lot in his podcasts and stuff. So I guess he trained him, which is just really weird, right? Because like Brian Myers trained MJF, like the guys that you would think would never be able to produce like legit talent. There you go.
Because I know Karrion Kross has an MMA background. I don't think he actually competed, but
I don't think so either.
But I wonder who trained him in that, because that seems to. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from Disco Inferno. Like I've talked about it before. I've assigned Disco Inferno 8x10 in my office here.
Yeah.
Like I was a fan. I love WCW growing up. Trust me. But
right.
I mean, I got an Alex Wright Gloob over there too. I mean, I was in it. But I want to know, because he looks much more influenced on the MMA side in his pro wrestling.
Oh, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I wonder who trained him on the MMA side.
I think Disco mainly just taught him the basics, like selling and making sure it looks real. And, like he's an old school guy. And if you watch Cross, like he's definitely much more old school. He doesn't do a lot of crazy spots or anything like that. So
his finisher is a backdrop, essentially.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. So yeah, honestly, I didn't. What did you think of the ladder match?
I mean, I like both guys. I like Devlin and Escobar. I didn't like how Legado del Fantasma came out and like helped Escobar, but then moments later, like they were. I might have missed something that happened, but like the next thing I knew, they were just gone, and like he stopped him from like Devlin got back in the ring and stopped Escobar from winning at one point, and I was like, why wouldn't Legado del Fantasma just stay out there and keep him from coming back in the ring if they? But anyways, outside of that, I thought it was pretty good. The finish looked brutal. Him going through that ladder, off the ladder.
Yeah, it did. It did.
I think the right person won, by the way. I had Escobar in our predictions. So
yeah. I mean, you see the effort. I think we're just all over the dome, man. I really do. I think we're ready for crowds. I think that we need the energy. I just think that this stuff is falling flat, and like I'm concerned to a point to where this is really up WWE's alley. Like if you watch how they can have like the lighting and make everything so cinematic, like I feel like that's more in their favor of what they would like to produce. Mm-hmm. And I really feel like that if they can find a way to replace the revenue of ticket sales and just be able to go out there and produce the way that they want to produce, I don't know how eager they're going to be to have fans back. I really don't.
Did you see that Seth Rollins interview from the other day?
Seth Rollins, Bailey. I've heard a bunch of them that are just like, it's been better. Roman, they've all said it, that they feel like that it's better without fans because they can focus more on their character and they can deliver things and they won't be interrupted and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, that ain't it. That ain't it.
It's an interesting take from like those wrestlers, like a Seth Rollins, for instance, because like it's just one of those things where, because like I this is literally just assuming, but I would assume Kevin Owens would say the same thing. I would assume, you know what I mean? I think at a certain point, if you're a big enough fan of the company and you like working there enough and you feel comfortable, you're just brainwashing isn't the right word, but it's like I think they just get really disconnected from what it was like when they were fans before they got into it. Like it's a perfect example of like seeing how the meat is made. You know what I mean? Like they know too much about the process. They're a part of it, and they're just, you know what I mean? Like they don't care what I think anymore, because like they're so in it that it just, my opinion, just doesn't matter anymore to them. And I can't like really blame them for that, because they have great careers and they're making great money and they get to be quote unquote pro wrestlers. They're going to be sports entertainers for a living. But it does kind of suck to know that they had to have kind of forgotten what it was like, because so many of these performers we were talking about were the ones that were the fans in the crowd making noise and cheering and booing the people that they liked growing up. And now they're more concerned about, fans not quote unquote hijacking a storyline or a show and having to change course. But isn't that the whole point of pro wrestling, is like you do things based on the fan reaction? Like that's what makes it fun for everybody. But WWE's completely forgot that.
But hold on. Is that what the WWE wants though?
No, I'm saying no, they don't.
Right. They're becoming very corporate, from the Peacock crap to like not having fans to finding ways to go around that and still being able to make money. still being able to sign TV contracts and all that stuff, like, it concerns me because but I do feel like whoever is running a wrestling show that allows fans, that's a huge advantage for that show. And I feel like that's one of the main reasons why they still would do that. But man, honestly, like, if they were the only show in town, I don't know if they would bring fans back, because then whoever's a heel is a heel.
Right.
You can't change that. Whoever's a face is a face. You can't change that. But I feel like that takes so much of the emotion out of pro wrestling. But I don't think that bothers them. I think that they want to be able to tell, because what do they say all the time? We tell stories. Well, what better way to tell stories than to not have any fans, to be able to control? And like, one thing I didn't like in the Adam Cole match, and Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly, is they piped in the audio when they were sitting in the chairs to make sure you heard what they were saying. So that's what I said. It feels almost like it's a segment. It feels almost like it's a promo than necessarily a match. And it like takes you out of it a little bit. So I don't know. It's just something I've thought about. Like, do they really want fans back? Because to me, Vince would have been a Dana White back in the day and been like, we're selling the place out. And now it's more like, you can delete this from Peacock and you can do this. And how much you paying me for this? Okay, we'll do this. Like, it just seems like they're kind of selling out.
Well, they're absolutely selling out. I mean, they've been selling out. Like, this is just another example of them selling out.
But I almost felt like that they just did what they wanted because it was Vince's vision. But I feel like they're now becoming way more corporate.
Bro, when they started going to Saudi Arabia during all that stuff, I lost a lot of faith in that company. When they started, it is about the bag. It is not about anything other than making money.
All those banned words that you can't say anymore.
The word wrestling, I'm pretty sure, is on the list. I could be wrong, but it's like really common words that you'd hear in combat sports or that you'd hear. It's so bizarre. And the thing is, like, I do agree 100% with what you're saying about they can control their own narrative by not having fans. But at the same time, once again, this is a company that can't create stars. They would have never created Stone Cold Steve Austin if it wasn't the fans getting behind Steve Austin. He was a heel, 100%. And they never changed his character. He was never a babyface. He just fought bad guys. Like, and that was the character. But if the crowd would have never relayed that to the WWE via the live audience, they would not have known to have him starting to fight bad guys. And all of a sudden you're making more money and more people are watching than ever, but you wouldn't have known that the fans liked him. You would have just been pushing. It would have been him as the ringmaster out there, because it doesn't matter what the fans think. It's just whatever story they're trying to tell.
And I get what you're saying, but now I don't know if that's necessarily the goal anymore, as the money's already made.
Right.
The TV contracts are signed. The network deal is signed. You're already getting the money. So what is the incentive of really pushing and trying to get more popular and bigger and all that stuff? True. That's what concerns me.
Yeah, but I think we've been trending that way for a really long time because like and once again I fully agree with you, because I've also said for quite a while that from the fans' perspective, like, we want stars. Like, when you see, like, when John Cena comes back to the show, he feels like a significantly larger star than anybody else they have. It's not even close.
Yes.
And, and from a fan standpoint, we want stars. But I don't think the WWE wants stars that outgrow their brand. And that's what they're afraid of. And that's why people are kept at certain levels, because they don't want a situation where, The Rock goes out and people, maybe hear about the WWE because The Rock's involved and he's a massive star, but he's not really The Rock, the wrestler anymore. He's more The Rock, the movie star who used to wrestle. Right. And, and John Cena is going to be the same way. He's the Nickelodeon guy, the actor who used to wrestle. It isn't really like direct publicity for the WWE. Even when Hulk Hogan was with Impact, it was he didn't even mention the company and stuff. It was really weird. He was the name Hulk Hogan was so much bigger than the name TNA. So it's these kind of scenarios where the WWE doesn't want that, because I think they want stars because they want to make money, because they want to be able to sign these giant TV deals and sell the network and all that kind of stuff. But they don't want it at a level to where these people realize they don't need the WWE anymore and they go off and be major stars on their own without the company. And I think that's just where we're at, because, you know, you can look at a lot of examples of it, but I think like Roman Reigns is the best. I think he's doing a really good job now, but we saw years and years of this example. They didn't listen to the fans at all and just went with what they thought they should just be doing. Like, what's making this happen year after year after year, and people just kept rejecting. Yeah. And it didn't matter what we thought. They didn't care. You know, it just, that was, they had their mind made up. That was their guy.
But like, I don't know. And this is why, you know, I brought this up. I think we were off camera, but the Daniel Bryan thing, I feel like Daniel Bryan, when they gave in to the fans about Daniel Bryan, it set the precedent that the fans determine everything that happens in the show.
Right.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad idea, but it can be.
Sure.
Because it's a mob mentality, right? And the more that you give in to a mob, the more they want. So if you can give me Daniel Bryan as champion, well, then you can give me this, and then you can give me that, and it just keeps going, and it's like a domino effect. And I think at some point, I really feel like the failed Roman experiment, whatever you want to call it, I really feel like that was the tipping point for them, to where they were just like, screw you. You guys have ruined our show. We can't get anybody over. Like, we are going to do what we want to do. And when there were no fans, they were able to decide and say, look, we'll just make Roman go in as a heel, and we'll make him just play his character on TV, and there's nothing the fans can do about it. We put in piped in boo noises. You can't change him to a face. Like, he is going to be a heel, and we're going to roll with that. And so, I don't know. It's just concerning to me because, you know, I'm not saying that I absolutely love the WWE and all that stuff, but I don't like that the people in today's world are being basically their opinions are being eliminated. So, for example, when a movie was a big success, the box office would determine if it was a success or not. Mm-hmm. And now we just have stream. So any company can claim that something was successful, and we don't know the numbers. So they can create this false narrative, and we actually have no idea what is doing what. And we're doing the same thing with pro wrestling now, to where we don't have fans. We don't have people being able to say, hey, I don't like this. I do like this, whatever. And I just don't know. But I mean, I think it takes away emotion. I think it takes away moments. I think it's just, it's a devastating deal.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. I don't, concerned isn't the right word for me, because I just, this is what I've just been seeing this. So, you know, this is like, just isn't, I really don't know how to describe it. I'm just so over like caring about what the WWE is really doing, because I know this is what they're doing. Like, they made Jinder Mahal the champion because the network opened up somewhere. Like, let's be honest. Like, the guy was a complete jobber. And it was like, here's this title belt that's supposed to represent the best company, the best wrestler in the whole company. And the guy, you know, and it's just like when those kind of moves are happening. Same thing with
Khali. I mean, they gave him a championship just so they could be able to say that they had an Indian champion, and that could get him into that market. And you know what I mean? It's the same deal.
Yeah. And I get having like marketable stars all over the world, but you have to build them to some degree. Like, the great, like, you know, the Jinder Mahal thing was like, he was a perennial jobber his entire career for year after year after year. And then all of a sudden, he just wins the title pretty much out of nowhere, and it just happens to coincide when the WWE was opening in certain parts of the world. And it was like, wait, how's this guy the champion? Like, this guy was terrible 2 weeks ago. He couldn't win 2 weeks ago. Now he's the champion of this whole thing. Yeah. But it's all just business moves, you know, and that's just, I think the WWE cares, but they don't care about what our demographic thinks at all. Like, I don't think they really care about like that 18. I mean, they care because they don't want to lose all of our business like completely, but if I was to bail, they wouldn't care. If you were to bail, they wouldn't care. You know,
I think they have the philosophy like Vince Russo or whoever else is basically like, if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to watch regardless. It doesn't matter. We don't have to cater to you. That's why you're getting piped in noises and Bad Bunny, because they are going to put out whatever they want, and it's not going to change your opinion on anything. So we got a super chat. Let's get this one out. Okay. It's totally different, but I appreciate it. Jigsaw Kid. Thoughts on WME going public, bad for the UFC? I think anytime a company goes public, if you're a fan, it's bad. It's bad. Because then they have to answer to stockholders and all stuff. And I really am nervous that Dana sold his stock or selling his stock of ownership. Man, I don't think MMA, UFC, it can be run by anybody but Dana right now. Like, I really don't. There's not a lot of people with the backbone. To me, one that would make sense if he's willing to do it would be Chael. I think Chael would be able to handle the media and still not come across as like a corporate sellout, basically. Like if he's like, that's a stupid question. No, we're not going to do that fight or whatever. But I mean, I think people will go after him so hard, like the fact that he's, tested positive for steroids and lied about it and all that stuff. But like, I think you have to have like an alpha as your leader for a fighting company. I don't think you can have some beta corporate dork that's just going to be like, we'll see how things go, or somebody's not upset, or all of a sudden guys are getting fined for what they say on social media, and then everybody can't be who they are, and guys stop talking trash because it's offensive, and ugh.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't think that it will not be Chael Sonnen because of the PED history. Personally, I don't care. I've made that known many times. Like, I don't care what people take, especially if everybody knows what everybody's taking. I don't care. But they're not going to have somebody who lied about that I just don't think that it's a good look. But I do agree that it would have to be someone like Dana White that isn't going to back down from a little bit of criticism here and there, or really back down to the mob coming after him. It's like the SJW mob, not like the actual mob. Because that could be a thing also. Yeah, that could be a thing also.
He stayed away from Japan for a reason.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, literally, they were going to run Pride themselves, and they were like, yep, never mind.
It's the Yakuza actually runs Pride. Okay, well, I'm out.
Oh, wait, all of your favorite fights were fake? Oh, no.
Okay, great.
But I love Pride, by the way. I don't even care if it was fake or not. I was entertained to the maximum when that was around. So.
I don't necessarily think it was fake. I just think that they definitely made matches for guys to win. It wasn't like they made squash matches, basically.
Yeah. Well, certain fights were rigged for sure. Oh, the Randleman Coleman and stuff. Where he's having the ankle lock and crawling to the ropes and stuff.
No, for sure. But Vanderlei really smashed people's faces to pieces.
Yeah,
there's 100%. Definitely times where it was like, oh God.
Yeah, I don't think it was all, but it was Alberto Del Rio went in there as a sacrificial lamb for Mirko Cro Cop.
For sure.
There was no 100%. Chance of him winning that fight.
What's funny is that was on a Bushido, which is basically their version of an Ultimate Fight Night, and that's what happened there. So
no, but I'm with you. I'm the same way about the whole public thing. It does worry me when the public kind of gets to decide what you do with your company, especially if with how divided the kind of country is already on certain things, it would just be a really tough spot to be in. And Dana knows how to handle it. But I also remember when they sold the company, I think he was only on a 7-year deal or something. So that's probably why, these things are probably starting to happen, because
I think Dana's goal was to get the UFC to become profitable. And once that happens, then he can bounce. And so, because they took a huge loan to pay for the UFC. So,
what would be great is if they could somehow convince Lorenzo to do it.
Oh yeah, that would be great.
That would be, the fighters would love it.
And Lorenzo definitely is not as aggressive as Dana, but I still don't think he would get pushed around either.
No, he was going hard at like the coronary unions back in the day when they were having those issues, like getting in New York and stuff. I mean, he was, I think Lorenzo's like the kind of hidden MVP of like a lot of what goes on in the UFC. Like there's a lot of fighters who refuse to take fights and stuff, or like they're having a problem with Dana, and Dana will like, even though Lorenzo isn't even, I mean, I think he still owns like a small percentage or something, but he's not even a part of it anymore.
I think Lorenzo's his like secret weapon. Like Khabib's like no Dana, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna call Lorenzo. You know what I mean? Exactly.
I've heard fighters take short notice fights like fairly recently, where it's like they're on the fence, then Lorenzo gives them a call, and like they wind up taking the short notice fight.
Well, and if you notice too, like whenever like a guy wins a fight, like a big name, they always thank Lorenzo. Like he's not even in it, and they're like, I want to thank Lorenzo and Dana, and they don't even bring up the owner or anything. You know what I mean? So
for sure. David, hey Dave, I saw you just sent that super chat. Did you have a question on any comments there? Because we can like answer something if you didn't attach anything to that.
Yeah, for sure.
And Manib, just really quickly, the Jinder thing you said, I agree that he wasn't like the worst champion of all time, like during his run, but the build, like that's what I have a problem with, is somebody going from a jobber to the champion.
It's the JBL build. That's exactly what it is.
But at least JBL had all those years of like being tag team champion and like hardcore champ, like something. Like had Jinder just like won the US title and had it for like 3 months or something, then won the world title, I wouldn't have had a problem with it.
Well, and it's not only that, Jinder had to get completely juiced to the gills to even get a shot. Like,
yes, let's be honest. Yeah,
for sure. Like he was, and then he has the audacity to be like, I'm not on steroids, bro. Like, okay.
There are some people out there like Yoel Romero. I don't know. He might not be. He looks like he is, but he might not.
He could just be a freak of nature.
True, but Jinder Mahal, we literally witnessed the transformation. Like, I mean, it's.
Well, even Drew McIntyre, if you go and look and see what he looks like in high school, Brian Cage, like go look and see what Brian Cage looked like at 18 to where he is now.
Now at 18, you could still grow quite a bit, but not in the massive amount of ways that I think that I mean, once again, I don't want to sit here and just accuse people of stuff, but like, I also think there's a reason some of these people don't work in certain companies too, because they would have a hard time probably passing the test. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
It's funny when I hear people talk about Brock, by the way, because people defend Brock because he's never failed the WWE drug test, but he has failed the UFC drug test, which I think is the funniest thing in the world. But anyways.
Not only that, do you notice too, like Brock will go away from WrestleMania and then sign his UFC contract, and he is like, he was freaking jacked in the WWE, and then he goes to the UFC and he's much more soft. Like, come on.
You can always tell with these right here, the traps or whatever over your shoulders, because his will go up to like his ears when he's on the juice, and then they'll go back down. I always pay attention to that.
Speaking of traps, look at Jeff Cobb right now. Dude, my God.
That was literally like, once again, I'm not sitting here accusing people of stuff, but like me and my buddy were watching that before NXT tonight, and I literally was like, Cobb looks like he's not getting tested.
No, like, because
he was an Olympian. He was an Olympian before that, so like he had to be clean. Now it's like he's looking good. Yeah, he's looking good.
Yeah. So, but let's get through NXT real quick, and then we can talk about WrestleMania. To me, I thought Walter and Tommaso Ciampa like was awesome, but I hated the finish.
I loved it. See, and it's polarizing. I've seen both sides on it.
But was that really what they were supposed to do? Because it was like a fall away, a release suplex, and then he gives him one chop, and it's over.
Yeah. But I do like the concept that he beat him down so badly that he just couldn't take it anymore. It's almost like
Agreed.
It's almost like Rory McDonald and Carlos Condit too. When like he got hit in the nose that last time, it didn't look like a very big shot, but it just like his body just shut down on him. Yeah, and the other thing too I like about Walter is he does that. Like he's won with the chop, he wins with clotheslines, he wins with the splash, he wins with the power bomb. Like it's like AJ Styles to a degree. Like there's a lot of moves where like when AJ hits it or Walter hits it, that could be the match. So now anytime he chops someone and they fall over, you think this could be the end of the match. So I like that.
And his chop actually like cut the announce table. Like that was cool. Walter's very believable. I like Walter a lot. He has a presence. When I went to the Worlds Collide show last year in January, and he came out, like, and his music, he's old school, like his character fits. He looks like a badass. I like Walter a lot. And he's had great matches with a ton of indie guys. And to me, like, does it seem like they're trying to merge both together, NXT and NXT UK?
It looks like that. It looks like it could be going that way. And I also, we need to keep in mind that whole Evolve show that I keep mentioning and 205 Live. Like, do you need all these things? You know what I mean? Like, can you consolidate a lot of it into just NXT and quote unquote Evolve? You know what I mean? Like, so I could see, because they were also treading that way too, where like before the pandemic, Finn was feuding with Walter and he was going to be wrestling him for the NXT UK championship. So imagine if Finn Balor would have won that. I mean, I think they should have kept the belt on Walter, but if Finn won that belt, hypothetically speaking, I doubt he would have only worked in the UK. So maybe there has been plans for something like that.
Okay. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And then I don't like Bronson Reed. I'm not a fan. I didn't like Jonah Rock in the Indies either. I mean, he's okay, but like what I hate is, like I said, it comes to stakes, right? And when it was down to him and Swerve, like I wanted Swerve to win so we get Swerve and Gargano, not Reed and Gargano. So that kind of like took the wind out of the sails when he won, but it was clear he was going to win. It was starting to be obvious. Honestly, I thought he was going to beat Gargano tonight, and that didn't happen. So I was kind of glad about that. But, yeah, that's really – the women's match was pretty good last night too.
Yeah.
Io Shirai kind of looks like she's leaving, which to me is a disaster waiting to happen. You really think you're going to be able to tell me that Vince McMahon knows what to do with Io Shirai?
Oh, no,
that's not happening.
I'm just as worried as anyone. For my money, Io Shirai is the most entertaining female the WWE has on contract in any brand. Like, I like her the best of any of them. So, but it's the same kind of thing with like an Adam Cole or really anyone else when it gets to this point where it's like, that's the thing about NXT, man. It's like, it's really bittersweet because it really feels like you're watching the last moment of greatness for these wrestlers that you were a lot of these wrestlers that you were a fan of before they got signed. And in a lot of cases, it's almost like, I don't know. It's almost like a goodbye in a sense because like things could just go so sideways when they wind up on Raw or SmackDown. But at the same time,
let's be honest. Like a Kyle O'Reilly, they're not going to have anything for him if he ever goes to the main roster. Like,
sure,
it's frustrating because if you can push them on NXT, if you put them in the main roster with that same push, they're going to get over because they already are talented. They already have a main event look. I think that's the biggest thing, that the biggest flaw that they do is when a guy is a main eventer in NXT, he should absolutely be a main eventer on the main roster.
Well, they do the opposite a lot too, where like an NXT like mid-card guy like a Baron Corbin or an Elias or something like winds up getting a big push on Raw or SmackDown, but like they didn't really prove themselves in NXT. So like I just don't. It's strange. It's strange how they pick and choose. And like Jeff Atwood said in the comments, that's probably what'll happen. They'll probably put Io Shirai and Asuka together because they're both Asian, and WWE just likes doing that, And I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's unfortunate. I mean, the silver lining is there's two possible silver linings. One is that they go to Raw or SmackDown and they're successful because Vince likes them and they wind up doing great. It's unlikely, but it might happen. The other silver lining is maybe they just make a whole lot of money. They don't have any good matches again for another 2 or 3 years, and then they hit the independents again, and we get them back at some point after they've made the money they wanted. So,
right,
but as a fan, it does suck because you want to see them succeed on Raw and SmackDown. But
I'm hoping she wrestles Bayley because Bayley's not doing anything, and so I just think Bayley could welcome her in. She's a heel right now, like why not? You know what I mean?
Sure, and everyone's really upset that she's not a part of WrestleMania, Bayley.
Oh, I know, but like. Dude, this is the WWE. You think those guys on that Andre the Giant Battle Royal are happy right now?
Oh, sure.
And honestly, sometimes it's better to not have a spot at all than to have a spot and be put into something that makes you look way less than just like if she was in some goofy match and lost in like, let's say 7 minutes, it would be better for her just to not wrestle at all. And then she faces the winner of, like, she faces Bianca or something if Bianca wins. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Mania now is not really the end-all, be-all. It's more of just a cram fest of trying to get as many roster people on there as you can. I really don't like the 2 nights. I don't like the 2 nights for NXT. I don't like the 2 nights for WrestleMania. I hope this is the end of that. I'm just not a fan.
Yeah, I guess I'm indifferent to it. It doesn't really bother me one way or another because just to be honest, I'm just not that hyped up for it. You know, it. I hate to sound this way, by the way. Like, I'm lifelong WWE fan.
Bitter.
Well, I'm bitter to a degree, but it's also not so much of. There is a little bit of bitterness for sure because I am so much of a long time fan. But like, I'm not really like. I don't think they're like. It's like malicious against me. I just think it's that they've made their decision that they want to cater to children and the children's parents. Like, I don't think that they just don't. But once again, the reason that it doesn't really like bother me is because I have so many alternatives at this point that like I watch more wrestling now than I ever have, but I watch less WWE than I ever have. You know what I mean? But there's always going to be those people I'm interested in. Like, there's always going to be those O'Reillys and Adam Coles and Finn Balor's and Cody Rhodes. Well, Cody Rhodes is a bad example because he's in a company that I love. But even when he was with the WWE, I was always rooting on Cody, even when he was Stardust and getting buried. Like, I'm going to always have my guys, and I'm always going to follow them. And like Manib in the chat says, like, the women, if you're a fan of women in the WWE, usually you're going to be pretty okay for the most part because I think the really, really good ones do tend to rise to the top and stay there for the most part, and to some degree. So, but with the men, there's just so much of a larger pool of that. There's just more of a chance that someone gets, missed or lost in the shuffle. So, but that's the thing. I've said it's just one of those things. I'm just very indifferent to any decision WWE makes at the moment because I know they don't really, that I'm not really they're not really targeting me as what they're putting out there. So it's like, but I can enjoy it for what it is. Like, if I'm not excited for WrestleMania on Saturday, but if Lashley and McIntyre go out there and have a banger of a match for 20 minutes or whatever, like, I'll be the first to come on a podcast or whatever and give them props for having a great match. Like, I just don't have that much excitement going into it, unfortunately.
I mean, to me, this doesn't feel like a Mania weekend. It might for you because you're watching the Collective and all that stuff. But I mean, I'm seeing like, I'm surprised when I see fans. Like, Mania weekend is about the fans. It's this big gathering of celebration of wrestling, and it just feels very like 20%. You know what I mean? So I'm really looking forward to next year. I feel like that'll actually feel like a Mania weekend. And I'm not super excited for Mania, but it'll be fun. It's going to be something to watch, and it'll be weird though. Like, you're going to be able to watch UFC and Mania like back and forth live at the same time. You know what I mean? That's cool. Different.
That's rare because almost all. For those of you who don't know, UFC primarily runs on Saturdays and WWE pay-per-view on Sundays. So like, you usually don't get that double cross. Sometimes you get it with NXT and UFC, but
Usually they were pretty good though. They would start pretty early, and then you could still watch the main card on UFC
for sure.
But it's just, it doesn't feel like Mania. Like, I'm not like, oh my gosh, it's WrestleMania. But I feel like next year it'll feel more like Mania. But we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah.
And like I said, this card feels like this card just feels so like just thrown together.
Honestly, it just feels like every other WWE pay-per-view of the year. Just doesn't.
This does not feel like Mania at all.
And I mean, I am looking forward to seeing how many people wind up being in the crowd, and I want to hear I'm looking forward to it from that aspect, like
100%.
real fans, real interaction, like real pops from the crowd. Like, I hope they don't continue to pipe stuff in because now they know how to do it to the level that they do. Because they really, I mean, realistically speaking, even if they wanted to push their own narrative with fans, they could just not show images and video of the crowd and mute the crowd like halfway, like they do with on like the network or Peacock or whatever, like old ECW footage. They can mute the background enough that you don't hear the original theme music, and they can, you know what I mean? So there's ways of, even like Goldberg and stuff, there was always ways of like manipulating how the crowd sounded. But yeah, anyway, I think I like we said, it just feels like another show, but I don't know. I mean, I guess I can pull the card up. I do have it here if you wanted to start kind of going through the shows. And I know we had some super chats too.
David sent in one. He's the one that forgot to. He messed up the last one. I just generally want to know your opinions on my UK boy, Walter. And we kind of talked about it, but I think Walter's awesome. I like Walter a lot. Walter's rare in wrestling. Like he's athletic for a big guy, and he has a presence, and he can still have like a match of the year candidate. You know what I mean? With the right guy. And that's awesome. Like he's and he just has this old school look, but with almost like a new style that merges with it, and it just works. I think he's really good. But see, that's what I'm saying. You can't bring let's say you bring Walter to Raw. You can't bring Walter to Raw and make him a mid-carder. Like,
do you remember
Walter
what they did?
Has to be a main eventer.
Do you remember what they did when they had Walter?
No.
They did. He was on like SummerSlam or Survivor Series like a year or two ago. And I'm pretty sure someone's going to need to fact check this. I could probably find it. I just can't remember the show or just look it up myself. But Walter was on like one of the 5-man teams or whatever for NXT or whatever. And he got eliminated. He got eliminated within like, he was the first one eliminated, and it was within minutes.
But like, wasn't that like the super push of Keith Lee that they did nothing with?
Maybe, but either way, like they pinned Walter.
No, I'm not saying that was right, but I'm just trying to think that they really pushed NXT that year, and Keith Lee got the big push, and now look where he's at.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like.
Right. No, I see what you're saying. I misunderstood what you were saying, actually, but I get what you're saying now. Yes, that match was made on the NXT team to make Keith Lee look the best, for sure. But my point is the guy has been completely unstoppable on NXT UK, and he gets beaten like 2 minutes on the main show.
Yeah, it's trash. I hate it. But yeah, like I said, you can't take guys like Walter and Adam Cole. And if Cross goes there, like those are your new main eventers. You can't say, oh, well, we don't create stars and all. You don't create stars because you killed them.
Sure.
Like you did create a star, and then you bring them up and you kill them. Mm-hmm. Andrade is going to show up soon, and he could have been a big name. He could have been your Eddie Guerrero type, and you did nothing with them. The guy goes out and has like match of the year candidates with Rey Mysterio on SmackDown. So it's not like he just did it in NXT. He did it in both. And like nothing.
Yeah.
Like I don't understand their thought process of bringing in all these guys from NXT that are over. Like Kevin Owens, when he came in, he was over. Faced John Cena, beat John Cena. Like, that's what you do with these guys.
And then he lost the next two, though.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. But, like, when Kevin beat John.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Over. And even if he loses, if you have a close competitive battle with John, that's still not bad. But then you can't have him lose to Jericho or to whoever else. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, Goldberg, that was the most ridiculous. And, like, when The Fiend was over the most, they bring in Goldberg in Saudi Arabia and job him out.
Spear and a jackhammer.
And then they're like, I don't get it. Why don't we have stars?
Well, that was the thing. We were just talking about that. Like, I think factors in what we were talking about. As a fan, we want to see stars, but I don't know how much the WWE wants to actually create those outliers that might get too big for their own interest or whatever. Like, and then David also says, did you guys buy him winning with the chop? We talked about that earlier too. I really like that finish. Doug said he didn't like it, but I like it because I like the fact that now when he hits a chop on somebody, you could believably think that that's going to be the end of the match every time he hits that from now on. And it just helped get over another move. And it was like this exact example I gave. If you watch the UFC, Rory McDonald versus Carlos Condit 2, it was probably the best UFC fight I've ever seen from start to finish. And the fight finished with a jab to the nose that didn't look that strong, but Rory had taken just so much, or sorry, yes, wait.
Yeah, it was Rory.
Rory crumbled. Yeah, it was him and Lawler. I keep saying Condit. I'm sorry. That's why I'm getting confused. Rory, it was Condit and Rory had a
beat
great
the
fight
piss out of Rory too, and he broke him bad.
That's why I got him confused. They were both incredible fights. But yes, when Robbie Lawler defeated Rory McDonald crumbled after a jab, but it was because he was so beaten down, his body literally just turned on him and shut down. And that's how I felt about the end of that Walter match. Like, he had beaten Ciampa down so badly that was just like the final blow. Ciampa just couldn't take anymore, and it was it. So I liked it.
Yeah, no, it just confused me because it's rare we see something like that. And then like they talked after the pin, so it looked like there was like a confusion there. Like, I don't know if you caught that, but Walter and Ciampa talked to each other after the pin, and I was just kind of like, was he supposed to kick out? Like, that's what how I registered it. But by the way, I probably, like, top 5 have never seen a wrestler improve as much as Tommaso Ciampa.
From the time he signed with the WWE to now.
When I saw him in Ring of Honor, the guy was the ultimate mess up. The guy made mistakes all the time in Ring of Honor. I didn't like him. I thought
he signed to Ring of Honor like 30 matches into his career, by the way. Like, super early. Like, wasn't really probably ready, but had the right connections with where he was training and stuff.
Well, what's funny is I was at the last show for Ring of Honor. Todd Sinclair, right? The
ref.
referee.
Yeah.
He took him out, he beat him up, and then he like did the snow angels with the streamers after he left. And I thought to myself, like, oh my God, this guy is going to the WWE. Like, he's terrible. What are they thinking? And he would show up with that crazy mask and look like that helmet looking thing.
Yeah.
And I was just like, this guy thinks he's a badass.
Almost like a gladiator type thing. Yeah.
I mean, props to Tommaso Ciampa. Like, that guy, he continues to deliver at NXT takeovers all the time. If you want my honest opinion, I thought him and Walters had the match of the weekend so far. I think him and Walters' match was better than Kyle and Adams, just on a different level. But I'm blown away by Tommaso Ciampa. I can't believe how good that guy's gotten.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's made serious improvements. It's just. There's just a lot of red flags as far as like how much you can do with him because of his injury history and stuff. It's unfortunate. It's just the truth. Yeah. It'd be the same in any other sport where someone has multiple, ACL injuries and stuff. Like, you just have to be cautious with
he's a lifetime NXT guy. He never should see the main roster.
Well, and I don't think that they know what to do with him anyways, but I think I think he's even more unlikely to do anything on Raw or SmackDown, because if Vince found out he had missed years of his career because of similar injuries, I think that Vince wouldn't want to invest. Similar to the Balor thing, like, he gets hurt one time and then like never the champion again. Like, it's just.
Don't you find that weird? Like, I've noticed this more. I remember when a guy got injured and then they were bringing him back, there was so much hype and everybody was so excited, and it's just like, finally they're back.
It's a beautiful day.
Yeah, I mean, the Triple H thing. I remember Edge when he came back and he was all jacked. But what's crazy to me is Triple H was only gone for 8 months. And that felt like 2 years. That's why when he came out at Madison Square Garden, got that massive pop, it was like, so much had happened. WCW got bought, the Alliance invasion, the whole thing. The Alliance was over at that point. The Rock came back. But the only thing that was missing was Triple H. So when he came back, it was just like such this huge deal.
Yeah.
And now when guys come back, like Vince treats them like dirt, and they're nowhere near as over. They don't feel as special. Like if you were a big name and got hurt and you come back, it's rare that you get your spot back now. I mean, Dolph Ziggler, for crying out loud, that was the final straw for him. Like, he had become champion and he gets a concussion. That's it,
Yeah, for sure. But to be fair, for like Dolph Ziggler, for instance, I think he was a guy that, he used to be really public about how kind of unhappy he was with his spot in the company. But I think that's been fixed on his end because I think he's probably one of the top 10 highest paid guys in the whole company because of how long he's been there. So I think his whole mindset has just changed over time where like he probably just doesn't care, to be honest. Like if he's in a tag team or if he's the main event or if he's the opener or if he's in catering.
I'm over it. I'm over it. Like, if that guy really wanted to prove himself, he could have left and went to like New Japan, faced Kenny Omega, and then he would have totally changed his stock value. I mean, you look at Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre doesn't leave to go to TNA, to go to the Indies and stuff. He is not champion right now. He's not. Like, he found himself on the independents. He rose his stock. A lot of these guys just don't do that.
Sure. Totally agree. And the funny thing is Jinder Mahal tried that too, but didn't do anything on the Indies and then got re-signed and then became champion.
Because he's not good.
I know. I'm just I hate to just keep harping on him, but that whole situation really hurt me as a fan. It was
the revisit of JBL. It really what it was. And they do that every now and then where you're just like, well, wait, like now this guy's a main eventer. Oh, now he's champion. And then when they make them champion, they give him like these long title reigns. Like his wasn't as bad, but man, it's like it rubs it in your face. Like, this guy couldn't beat anybody, and now all of a sudden he can beat The Undertaker. You know what I mean? Like now all of a sudden he could kick out of the stunner of Stone Cold Steve Austin. It makes no sense. And I remember ROH did it with Jay Briscoe, and I thought that was stupid.
But you didn't like him as champion?
Not at first, because to me he was always a tag team guy. They never built him as a singles guy, and all of a sudden he just became champ. And I didn't like that either. So it's not the actual talent, although I can't stand JBL. But I'm going to be honest with you. If you go through some of his hardcore matches, they ain't that bad. Like his match with Cena at Judgment Day. He has the match with Eddie Guerrero at Judgment Day. Like there's some decent matches out there. But he could only wrestle a hardcore style because he's not good. It's so funny. He would crap all over ECW, but like that's really the only style that he benefited from was a hardcore style.
That's true. That's pretty ironic. I mean, I think in hindsight, JBL's title reign looks way better now than it did as it was happening. Like if it's compared to a lot of stuff we've seen lately, so it's hard to like.
I think JBL gets the criticism because he was the start. And it changed after that. Like if you go from WWE just from 2003, even SmackDown, right? 2002, 2003, and then you go to WWE 2004 with JBL. I mean, it is a disaster. It's Kenzo Suzuki. It's Rene Dupree. Yeah. It's all those guys. It's
Jimmy Wang Yang, but he was tight.
Yeah, he was okay. It's got the white Undertaker looking guy. Mordecai, like just all that, just trash. And it was all at the same time. You know what I mean?
Remember those guys, Luther Reigns and
Reigns. What about the Heidenreich?
Yep, Heidenreich getting something going on in the shower with him and Michael Cole or whatever.
Oh my God!
Oh, there was some Snitsky. There was some real gems in that whole the Basham. Oh, the
Orlando Jordan.
What do they call it? Like it was like the Dick twins or whatever. The Shane twins. God, but they were like the Dicks or something in TNA or something like that. But it was like all these generic, weird, thrown together teams and stuff.
It was like all the crap that they had, just throw it into SmackDown, and you would have like Kurt Angle and Eddie Guerrero there also. Like, it was awful. And JBL was the champion at the time. And that was also like Cena's rise, right? So like Cena was becoming a baby face at that point. And like he was your US champion. And then JBL was like the head of the company and of the SmackDown. And it was just so bad. I mean, if you, like I said, if you compare to 2002 with Brock Lesnar, Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Edge, Chris Benoit, like you could go on and on and on.
I agree. I remember y'all talking about it on YouTube.
Yeah, pissed me off so much. Like that was the one. That was the one. Great American Bash 2004. I'll never forget it.
Bull rope match or whatever they called it.
Bull rope match. Eddie lost. And then, like, you find out later on that Eddie wanted to lose. He wanted to lose to his friend JBL to put him over. And you're like, what? Like, Eddie wanted to ruin the WWE? Like, are you kidding me? So, yeah, it was wild.
Yeah, I remember those days very well. We got any super chats?
Yeah, cool. Hey guys, I just finished Dynamite for yesterday. I wanted to drop in and show support. Also, can't wait for Blood and Guts. Yeah, appreciate it, Chris. I'm really looking forward to Blood and Guts. Tony Khan, quit being a coward and fill that stadium. I'm tired of it. Quit having 1,000 people in there. It's time to get at least 3K in that place. You could do it. It's outdoors, and it needs to happen. It's a big match, and it needs to happen. And
I think it will, though, because like they waited this long for a reason, I think, to do it.
Well, if you even heard Jericho's promo, like they've been holding off on that match. I think they've been holding off on a lot of things. I think they've been kind of coasting, and they're worried now that they're seeing the ratings, and they're like, we're just about to open this whole thing up. Because all of a sudden, Adam Page started to get a little bit of – he got a win over Caster. He's starting to get kind of back to that character. It seems like Dark Order's kind of distancing from Adam. So I just started to see a little bit of things there. And, man, we got to talk about that Bucks turn, though.
Yeah. Well, I'll answer the guy for the super chat. Like, what was the actual? Can you pull that back up? It was about the Blood and Guts.
He just said he can't wait.
Oh, just can't wait for it. Okay, gotcha. Yeah. I agree. I think it'll be great. Trying to think, there was something I was going to say about it, but you probably covered it.
How about Jericho? Jericho with the beard, the fire promo. It's like, man, this guy just keeps reinventing himself. And then he's going to be on the network with Stone Cold, which is just wild.
I'm looking more forward to that than WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. And he already said Sammy Guevara is one of his favorite tag team partners. So it's like, I don't think he's going to just shy away from AEW. So it'll be interesting how they handle that.
Yeah, for sure. And I was going to say, to be fair for like the waiting on things, to be fair to the WWE, I think there's probably plenty of good ideas they've had over the last year that they didn't go through with because they want fans there. So like they might have good things to, up their sleeve for, the foreseeable future, hopefully.
Kogan, he's my guy. I appreciate the support. And what you have to understand is I can't look at JBL in an objective way. The man killed my childhood company. So I hate the guy, the character. I hate the push. I hate everything. So I'm not able to look at that and just say, oh, he had okay matches here. That, like I said, he had a couple of okay matches. It's not all trash. But 2004 is basically trash. What sucks is from January till April, 2004 is pretty damn good. Like, really good, actually. That's WrestleMania 20 stuff. There's a lot of good stuff in there. But, man, once they hit the summer, just throw it all out the window. Yeah. And like I said, I don't think they've ever bounced back from that.
Yeah, to a degree, they haven't. I think they lost a lot of interest during that time. A lot of the stars were like kind of leaving and stuff, and the brand split. I don't think. I mean, I think initially the brand split was a good thing,
yeah.
but it did like.
See, to me, I feel like the brand split allowed guys to get pushed that should have never got pushed in the first place. And
right.
What you wanted were guys that should have got pushed, that deserved the opportunity, that never got pushed. But what happened was they just started pushing a bunch of garbage. And it made the show terrible.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Okay, let's talk about the Bucks turn, right? I hated the hesitancy of that. Like, if you're going to turn heel, you need to go all in. You cannot be like, oh, well, I can't kick my friend. I can't do it. And then it's like, oh, okay, so they're going to watch Moxley give him 2 paradigm shifts and then finally do something and then still be apprehensive about giving the 2 sweet and being like, what did I just do? And then let's kick Moxley in the face. But it's almost like they didn't want to do it.
Right.
So it's like, how heel are they?
Yeah, I don't know.
How many times are we going to have to see Kenny and the Bucks break up, get back together, break up, get back together? Like, I understand. I love them all. I love all those guys. They're some of my absolute favorites. But I feel like the storyline is played out. I really do. And I don't know how far. To me, if you're going to do this, the Bucks need to be ultra heel. They don't need to be in the middle or feel remorse for what they do. They need to be heel. And I feel like if Kenny's the collector of belts, then the Bucks should be the collector of belts when it comes to the tag teams.
I think that's a good idea. I don't want to get you down on it until I see kind of more where it's all heading because I like the Young Bucks as heels way better than I do as baby faces.
Yeah.
So
they're still as baby faces.
Right. So I think it's just a law. I mean, I think eventually they will just go full heel. I mean, what I don't want to see is them turn out to be baby faces like a few weeks from now. Like,
I don't either.
And if they continue to get worse and worse and start to like doing this stuff with Kenny and Gallows and Anderson, then like I'm okay with watching this story play out long term. But no, I'm with you. Like, it was strange how it all played out on Dynamite because of what you said. Where like, you know, they were fighting the whole time and they were watching Kenny get beat up, and then like all of a sudden, like I'm totally with you. I get it. It did come off a little weird, but I was happy to see that the end result was them all together because I do think it's the right move to have all 5 of them together as a group. But they just need to figure out. To
me, if you're going to do this and the forbidden door is open, then they need to be the Bullet Club. They need to wear Bullet Club shirts. They need to bring back the Bullet Club. They're all former Bullet Club members. And then when you can do travel, have the other Bullet Club from New Japan come and attack them and say, you're basically been playing Bullet Club. We're the real Bullet Club. You know what I mean? Because like they're pretty much a group now. And I don't really think Kenny needs 2 tag teams to hang out with. So that's a weird dynamic in itself also.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'm a way bigger fan of the Young Bucks than the Good Brothers. It's not even close. So, like, I'd be fine with the Good Brothers not even being on AEW, like, to be honest. Like, I'm fine with them doing their thing in Impact. It just is what it is for that. I don't know. I
think it's cool for certain moments, right? But I don't need to see them every Dynamite. I don't. And I don't think Kenny needs them. But, like, big matches, a certain occasion, yeah. And it also makes sense for Kenny to tag with them when he goes to Impact, right? Like, those are his former friends.
Yeah.
Whatever. But, like, I honestly think it's far more impactful for Kenny and the Bucks to come out than Kenny and the Good Brothers to come out.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, I totally agree with that. And I've also never been the biggest Good Brothers fan just to begin with. Like, I think both guys are good guys, but like all the cock talk and stuff is like, it's just getting really, really played out and not funny. And like,
how many Good Brother matches have you seen? Like, how many good Brother matches have you seen?
Exactly. I've always thought that they were overrated in the ring. They're a team that, like, I legitimately think the WWE only signed because of the buzz that the name they had created in Japan. But, like, you know, I feel bad that they got released after, you know, the circumstances suck because they had signed those deals and like they had given up other deals to stay there and they got fired and the whole, like, that really sucks for them. I don't like that for them, but I don't think that they've ever been that great to begin with, if I'm being totally honest. Like, I think Carl Anderson as a singles wrestler has moments that I could, you know, but Gallows I think is very generic. very generic. Yeah, you could put him in that same list of the guys we were talking about before. Like, I don't think he's much better than like a Snitsky or a Heidenreich, if I'm being totally honest.
He's the Bullet Club Kevin Nash.
Well, the Bullet Club Kevin Nash was supposed to be Cody Hall, and he couldn't, for whatever reason, stay on people's good terms.
Well, he also got injured. He got like broke his neck in New Japan or something like that.
That's true too. Thank you for bringing that up because I did forget about that. But I mean, that's a very good point. But you know what I mean? Like that, I remember those days when they were carrying Nick. He was carrying Nick Jackson out on his shoulders for his matches and stuff, and like it looked like he was going to be their big heater, and him and Fale at the time. But yeah, anyway, I'm totally with you. I think we're all on the same page with all this stuff.
But what I am excited about, Wednesday Night Wars is dead. It's over with. So now we have AEW on its own night. We have NXT on its own night. And I feel like AEW is going to focus a lot on that May 5th card because that is when Blood and Guts will happen. That'll be like a pay-per-view Dynamite. And then we'll be pretty close to Double or Nothing. And then I think things will kind of calm down where it won't be as scattered and not have so much stuff going on. And so I think May will really be a good month for AEW. I'm not too concerned with the ratings. If it's in the 700,000s again, though, with no competition, then I'm going to start to worry. But and what is this like? I keep seeing this, but they keep saying that AEW is losing female viewers because of too much blood. Do you think that is true?
That would be. So I haven't heard this, and I don't want to. I want to be careful. I want to be okay. Hey, here I love Dave Meltzer, but he's very hot and cold on being correct. I'd have to really. I don't know if I want to give a real answer on that. The only reason I'll give you my initial thoughts, but like I don't want to say something out like that is taken the wrong way.
Personally, I just think it's ridiculous. I think if you're a fan of AEW, blood is not going to make you not want to watch the match. Like I don't buy that.
Yeah.
So,
well, the way I feel about it is that, like, what more could really be done to be trying to appeal to everybody? You know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree with that.
So if you like, you just can't be concerned. If you're AEW, you just can't be concerned about stuff like that. And it isn't that I don't want there to be female fans. I want there to be female fans, as many female fans as possible. But I don't want it to be at the expense of like. Because the stuff that they're doing, I like, and I want to watch the show. And if they stop doing the stuff that I like to cater people who don't like it, but those people, and once again, not all of them, but a lot of the people that have a lot of problems with the things I see on wrestling are newer fans. You know, so it's like it's weird when you side with somebody who's just now discovering your product versus people who have been watching it the entire time. And, you know, so I guess my point is this. I care about everybody's feelings because, like, I don't love deathmatch wrestling, and there are certain shows that I get really hyped up for, but I might not go to live because I know I'm gonna like legitimately feel sick if I see somebody with meat skewers popping out of their foreheads right in front of me because it's happened. Yeah. There have been times I've seen people get thumbtacks to bare feet 3 feet away from me and like almost thrown up because it's just such a shock of what you're seeing in front of you. So. But also I'm not going to really complain about it either because like there is an audience for it. So it's like,
and it is a rare occasion. It's not like they build their brand off of that. Like it's just one of those things that like, you know, if it's a lights out match, there's probably going to be blood. If Cody Rhodes is on pay-per-view and has any animosity towards someone, there will be blood. Like that guy has no problem bleeding. He wants to do the Dusty thing.
That's probably half the reason his hair's bleached. It makes the blood look better when your hair's blonde. But yeah, no, so it's one of those things where like I want it to be. It goes along with our bigger conversations we've had about it. Like they put out a big net. They want to bring in as many fans as humanly possible, but like they're doing so much to try to cater every single type of fan and every single type of person, every single type of background, and be as politically correct as they can, and all these things. So if a byproduct of that is like some women don't want to watch the show anymore because there's blood, just keep in mind that there are male fans potentially, or even female. There are a lot of female fans that love deathmatch wrestling, way more than people would think. And usually when I go to shows and there's death matches, it's the girls that are chanting "You sick, F-U-C-K, you sick." It's like they get into it. It's very similar. The example I always give, even though in deathmatch wrestling or in AEW, wherever it is, the blood's real. Like, that's real. That's different than you'd see in a movie where it'd be fake blood and stuff like that. But the idea is the same. There is an audience for horror movies and slasher movies and these kind of things. I'm not into that stuff, but there's millions of people who are. So, like, just because I'm not. So my whole point is, if you're AEW, don't sacrifice me maybe stopping watching the show because a few people don't want to watch it. Like, to keep the bigger picture in mind, how many people have praised the match that they're talking about? And then if there's just a few people over here that don't like it, I hate to be like this, but it's just like, I'm sorry, this just might not be for you. Or maybe, like you said, if there's a lights out match or certain scenarios, that's your heads up to not watch that match.
Yeah, I agree.
So
it's like if you watch UFC, like, not all fights are going to have cuts. Not all fights are going to have broken bones or anything like that, but occasionally it could happen.
Sure. And I'm sure
part of that.
I'm sure there's people who watch UFC on ESPN and they turn it off because they don't like the blood. There are certain bars even around me still that won't show UFC because it's still too violent with like kids being around and stuff or whatever. Like, it's, but as a fan, like, I think that sucks. But as a human being, I can understand the other point of view.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
man, David is spending his money today. I really appreciate it. Says, am I the only person who doesn't need a gimmick? Give me Inner Circle versus Pinnacle in a standard match. Enough talent there to be special. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be good either way. But I think if they really wanted to do this blood and guts match, and they really need a 5-on-5 type match, and this is the reason why. So. And honestly, one of the main reasons I want to see this is I want to see Sammy do something crazy in a blood and guts match, because I think he will. I think he'll do something wild. Yeah,
I think it's gonna be damn good. I'm with you, Doug. Like, they've wanted to do this match. It makes sense given the participants in the match. So, they've built that story really well. Like, it's a blood feud. It's gang warfare essentially. Like, it's gonna make sense that this is happening at Blood and Guts, or inside of Blood and Guts. So, I'm totally fine with it. But David, I love both stables. I really do. Like, I think that I was really, really stale with Inner Circle for a long time, but I'm more entertained right now than I've been with them probably ever. And I like the Pinnacle a lot. I think it's a good upstart group so far. So.
Yeah. For Mania, can we get Bill and Classic? Brandon and Bill? I don't know. We'll see about that.
That'd be fun, though.
I went through all this branding. I got Bill's picture all in there and everything, and then I kind of got the rug pulled out from me, so might not have Bill anymore. We'll see.
What?
But I think we can get Bill to pop in every now and then, but I don't think it can be something like I think Bill could pop in on a chat or something like that, but I don't think it'll be something that'll be regular. But yeah, I ain't slowing down.
I just really quickly, I saw somebody in the comments earlier that asked if we would do this on Spotify. Just so y'all know, I do upload the audio of these. And it was a super chat. Thank you, David.
Yep.
I didn't realize. Thank you. I have a podcast called Fight Talk. You can just search Fight Talk podcast. My name's Steven Jensen, as you see on the screen. It'll probably be the first thing you see on any of the podcast platforms or even on a Google search. And I do upload. So like tomorrow, I'll upload the audio of this conversation onto Spotify, iTunes, literally anywhere you can think of that has podcasts. I think I'm everywhere. So I do that for this show. I do that for my show that I do with Jesse Davin, the show I do with John Mosley talking MMA every week. Any interviews that I do with indie wrestlers, they all go on that feed. So it is out there already for you. Just look for the Fight Talk podcast, and that's where we'll be uploading those out the next day.
Cool. Yeah. Anything that you need to catch up, especially indie wrestling, because I don't know much about it. Steven is your guy. And I used to really follow indie wrestling, but like I said, the whole talent crop is like cleaned out. So he's going to have to tell me who's good, who's not. And I don't want no Joey Janela nonsense. Like, I want somebody who's legit good.
Come on, man.
I
think Joey Janela is good. We just disagree there. But
I saw that art diamond cutter craziness that guy did off of the top rope, but he looks like he is nothing special, but he did a crazy move. You know what I mean?
There was a guy that I saw for the first time today, which is pretty rare for like these kind of weekends because usually there's stuff brewing up like leading up to it. And by the way, just before I forget, if y'all are subscribed to FightfulSelect.com, I do their Weekender podcast every Sunday. We dropped 2 free episodes. So if you go to the Fightful podcast feed on any platform, I did over 5 hours of predictions and previewing for the collective and for IWTV Showcase of Independence. So I talk about a lot of this stuff early this week. And if you're into this stuff, like those are the podcasts to definitely check out. But what was the actual question that you asked?
What? Oh, about the indie guys? I was talking about the guy that didn't look like much, but he turned out with this crazy move. Yeah,
there was a guy earlier today. That's what I was going to say. This dude I saw for the first time called Ninja Mac. And he's this white dude who like, it just looks very unassuming. You just wouldn't think much. This dude was, I kid you not, and I've only seen one match. He might be the best high flyer on the indies right now that I've seen.
I've got to see it.
This guy was out there. His finisher, and he knocked the guy out cold. He landed on his head. But the finisher was a Phoenix Splash 630 leg drop.
What?
Yeah, he did a Phoenix Splash, but went all the way through with the Phoenix Splash into a leg drop. It was sick.
Is this GCW?
This is GCW. Jimmy Lloyd's Degeneration F show today.
Okay, I'll check it out.
In one match, there was that guy. There was a dude who got powerbombed out of the ring and landed on his head. There was a Canadian Destroyer off of a balcony through tables and chairs. I mean, it's all like I'm still watching IWTV right now on my TV. Like there's matches happening on my other screen right now. Like, but yes, if y'all are into indie wrestling, like this is the weekend. Like I actually get excited talking about that stuff.
I can see it. There you go.
And I love NXT as well. It was just a long day, but but in comparison to like WrestleMania, yeah, like if I was in Tampa, I'd probably be going to indie shows and like drive back on Sunday. I probably wouldn't even like go to WrestleMania, to be honest.
I trust me, that's definitely crossed my mind.
I go to NXT though. I go to NXT.
Yeah, no, but that's definitely crossed my mind. Mania weekend, but man, if it's decent, then I'll want to go. It's one of those things like. For me, WrestleMania now is like one of those things where like everybody's there for Mania, but like I almost dread Mania. And then it's like a long 6-hour drawn out thing. But you go for the production and the big stadiums and all that stuff. If you take all that away and it's just the ring, it ain't much. And we saw that last year. You know what I mean? So Kogan also had a super chat. Do you think AEW needs their version of WrestleMania, or do you think they can just keep going on with the pay-per-view structure they have? I think they should have a Mania, and I think it should probably be at the Jacksonville Jaguars Stadium every time that they do it. But I don't know which out of the 4 you would pick, because it seems like Double or Nothing is basically what they want to do in Vegas. And it seems like all the other ones are basically Chicago, and then like one other one will be something else. So, and I think when this thing is over, they're getting the hell out of Florida, because they have used that market up so much that I just don't know if they would want to do a big show in Florida. But I do think they need a Mania, big sets and big matches. Like to have their own type of Wrestle Kingdom, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I think they should have a show that they highlight kind of as a WrestleMania each year. But I do want them to stick to the 4 pay-per-view format, at least for the foreseeable, next few years, because that is something
What about 6?
I mean, I wouldn't be mad with 6, but because the thing is, like, I love the AEW, but the problem, because like I wish the WWE would go back to 4. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I liked the original 4 concept, and it gets you really pumped up. And you have a special Raw in there, maybe in between. You can do the same for AEW, and they do that.
With WWE, too, it was mainly gimmicks were the 4, right? Like, WrestleMania would be your straight-up matches, but And SummerSlam would basically be your summer WrestleMania, but like Survivor Series, Royal Rumble.
Right.
That was always like teams for Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Like, yeah. And like I said, I do think they need a big Mania, though, like a big Mania event. Like, because then the fans know that this is the one. They save up their money. They buy their plane ticket. Like, that's the show I need to go to. You know what I mean?
I think that's kind of supposed to be All Out. I feel like is kind of how they've.
But honestly, if you look at All Out, has not been their best shows.
No, like as far as execution goes, like that was the Matt Hardy Guevara one where Hardy like knocked himself out and all that. I mean, everything just seemed to go wrong.
And Moxley, like it was okay, but it was like FTR and Kenny and Adam, which was not as good. But a lot of it had to do with the crowd. But even the All Out before that, where it was like Adam Page and Jericho, that just Adam Page was not there yet. He wasn't that over with the crowd. Like if it would have been Adam Page from like last year, like that would have been something.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you.
So yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like Revolution has been some of their best stuff. Double or Nothing has been some of their best stuff. So it's interesting.
Yeah. I think that whatever they can continue to pair with like StarCast and all that stuff, whatever they can do that's going to create the most like local buzz, get all these other things to come out around it. Like, don't do it the same time as WrestleMania. Do it as your own weekend, your own time of the year, and then let these indie companies do their thing. Like let GCW come to the same town, let IWTV, and like you can basically have 2 WrestleMania weekends on the indies as well, because they could go to whatever AEW's big weekend is also.
Wasn't StarCast like dang near in like December?
I can't remember how it was set up. I just know Chicago seems to be like the spot that they like to do all that stuff. Sorry,
not StarCast. I mean Starrcade, like for WCW. Wasn't it like at the end of the year?
Yeah. Which one? Which ones? One of them started like against WrestleMania, right? Like head to head with it. I think initially, maybe Clash of Champions or something. I can't remember.
Well, at the very beginning, it was Clash of Champions. At the very beginning, WrestleMania 4,
right? But yeah, I think Starrcade definitely was towards the end of the year though, for sure.
Yeah, and then like it gave you like 4 months of basically till Mania, but like. The problem is in December, it's holidays. A lot of people aren't traveling, things like that. So, like, honestly, I think, like I said, All Out would probably be their best bet for Mania if that's what they were going to do. But I don't think necessarily Chicago is the biggest market for that type of show every year. So,
sure,
we'll see.
Just a heads up, for anyone who's asked like where you can find my stuff, I appreciate the support, y'all. Like y'all saying you want to listen to the shows and stuff. If you go to my Twitter, it's _, and I have a link tree. And I think it's in the description of this YouTube video also. Usually Doug puts it in there. If you hit that link tree link, it has direct links to pretty much everything that I do. So you can check that out there. But thank y'all for your interest and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's awesome. Let's see here. Well, we need to get to talking about WrestleMania. And
we're going to fire through this, man.
Yeah, sheesh.
But then again, I got Mighty Ducks to watch in like 2.5 hours. So,
well, we definitely don't want to. Although that hasn't been that bad, man. I'm giving some credit.
Thoroughly enjoyed the show. I've been out there promoting it, telling my friends to watch it. Like I'm in, dude.
By the way, Hector sent this one. Always appreciate it, Hector. What are your thoughts on WrestleMania 19, the build-up show, and why do you think it had a low buy rate of 550,000 buys? I really like WrestleMania 19. I don't think it necessarily had the best build-up. I kind of feel like Jericho and Shawn, it was good build-up, but it just didn't feel like it was going to be as epic as it was, I guess you would say. Like, they kind of had the highlight reel confrontation and things like that, but, like, I didn't necessarily expect it to be as good as it was.
I disagree because those were...
One thing, Shawn had not wrestled just a straight-up match yet. He had only wrestled gimmick matches. Mm-hmm. So that's why I had somewhat low expectations. but it really felt like more of a way, like just a mid-card match. It didn't feel like that they were going to get like this time to really steal the show.
I disagree. Like, I was pumped going into the match, and it was, I mean,
Jericho, Mark.
And Michaels. I mean, those are my three favorite ever are Michaels, Jericho, and Savage. So it's like, you know, in Savage, obviously, he'd either passed away by then or like it wasn't long, because it was like 2011 when he passed away. I can't remember when the show was. That would have been, I guess, kind of mid 2000s, WrestleMania 19.
Yeah, it was 2003.
2003. So I guess, wow, it was way before Savage passed away. Actually, geez, my timeline's all, because that's right. WrestleMania 20, people were still talking about like him and Hogan maybe happening and stuff. I remember.
I remember that.
That's right. That was WrestleMania. Yeah. So, anyways, but yeah. So no, going into it, I was very pumped up because it was my current favorite wrestler at that time, who was Chris Jericho, and Shawn Michaels, who like was the only reason that I was even watching WWF instead of WCW at any point in like the late 90s. Like, Michaels was the whole reason I was tuning into Raw in like the late, like 97 or whatever. So I was super pumped up for it. And I like the match that Shawn and Triple H had, like the street fight and stuff. I was like, that was incredible. Yeah. Like, I mean, so I didn't really have any doubts that it would be good. My expectations were that it could be one of the best matches I've ever, like, I had really high expectations and I thought they lived up to it. The only thing I didn't like was that Jericho lost. That was the only problem I had with that match when it happened. But he did get a lot of that heat back by kicking him in the nuts afterwards. So
yeah. Well, and it almost felt like the reaction that he had with Shawn, the hug and stuff, that was genuine. And then it was like, okay, now I got to go into character and kick you in the nuts. You know what I mean?
And I love how they built up the fact that Jericho is basically idolized Shawn Michaels, and they had all the similarities, and there was all these moves where they would do each other's moves throughout the match because they knew each other's what they brought to the table so well. So I really, really liked that match a lot.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm not saying that it wasn't amazing and all that. I just didn't expect it to be as good as it was. That's my fault. But even just the buildup, it didn't seem like that they were getting the focus that match should have got. The Rock in Austin was very
Rock and Hogan.
No, Rock in Austin for WrestleMania 19. Rock and Hogan was
18 was 18. They're third. We talked about this last week where Austin we didn't know he was retiring, and that took away from it. Right.
So that part, but even the Rock too. Like, they should have really put it over. Like, this is the last time you're ever going to see this, and like it would have just felt so much more special. And I really think if they would have done that, this buy rate would have been bigger. Like, if they would have said, "Look, this is the last time you're ever going to see these guys wrestle," it would have been bigger. Triple H and Booker T, I feel like this thing is so criticized because everybody felt like Booker T should have won.
Mm-hmm. Myself included, by the way.
Yeah, no, and I understand, and I think I was rooting for Booker, but I'm not sure.
So, big WCW guy. Like, I was waiting for one of my guys to finally get theirs.
Dude, I remember, like, high spots were so, like, not the normal back then. I was praying he was going to do the Harlem Hangover, right, from WCW.
Yeah, that was an awesome move. Dangerous,
dude, he's going to do the Harlem Hangover, and, you know, like, it's Mania. He's got to do it, you know. But
we got the SSP that night, though.
Yeah, I feel like the build up for that though was really like borderline racist.
Oh no, it was very racist. They were talking about him being like he was calling him boy or something. I mean, it was like
like
talking about the jail
beneath him and all that.
Yeah,
and the build up really did feel like that the oppressed or whatever, the guy that's been bullied was going to get the win.
Yes.
And it didn't happen.
No.
So, yeah.
And he took forever to cover him, I remember. Yeah. After that pedigree, it was like, oh, surely he'll kick out. It's been 30 seconds since he hit the move. And then he just wins, and everyone's like, no way.
There's so many times where you have that, like, flat feeling where you're like, yeah, he's going to kick out, and then that ref hits 3, and you're just like,
yes.
Really?
Well, that was also peak Triple H beating everybody that everybody liked and staying in his spot and like keeping everybody down, remember? So it's like, Booker T was just like the next casualty.
That was when he was
the next Rob Van Dam of,
Yep. He was being the next like Ric Flair too, where he had the multicolored tights and he was wearing like purple boots, purple trunks.
He was trying to do the Harley Race thing with the mustache.
Right. I think you got to give me this. Hogan and Vince was not supposed to be as good as it was.
No, dude, and I remember the Roddy Piper run, and I popped for that.
Vince peeking up over the top of the ring, like all great. Evil with the blood on his face. Yeah, like and they had some pretty big spots. I think Hogan's like 2003 run is really underrated. Like
I really enjoyed it.
He had that match with Brock. He had a match with Kurt Angle. He had a match with Jericho.
Him and Edge as a tag team was entertaining.
Him and Edge as tag team champs. Like it got cut way too short. Like it was actually not bad. Shout out to Hogan, by the way.
Yeah, and I love that the leg drop Hogan hit off the ladder onto Vince on the announce table. That was sick.
So my point is I think it's a really good WrestleMania. Also, Kurt Angle, Brock, and keep in mind too, we really didn't know the condition of Kurt going into that match. He had a broken neck. We knew that. We didn't know how bad off he was, so that was very like up in the air. So overall, I think it's a fantastic WrestleMania. I think it's really good and very underrated. But I do feel like the build-up wasn't what it should have been for a Mania like that. And I think it hurt the buy rate.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'd have to really rethink some of the more current WrestleManias. Like I remember thinking WrestleMania 31 was really good. And stuff like that, like after it happened. For like different reasons, like the Sting Triple H match. I hated the finish, but like I did mark out for the whole NWO versus DX stuff and the Seth Rollins cash, I think was one of the best moments in WrestleMania. Like I thought that was perfectly played and all this stuff. But
that's correct, by the way.
Correction there, Steven. It was Vince dropping the leg on Hogan. Oh, sorry. Good call. Because Piper might have been holding Hogan down on the announce table actually for him to do it. Good call, Hogan. Thank you. But I think like if someone asks me what's the best WrestleMania of all time, the first two that come to mind are WrestleMania 17 and WrestleMania 19 for me. So I think WrestleMania 17 is always going to edge it because that was really peak Rock and Austin. And the build up and the Limp Bizkit package and all that stuff. And in every match, I mean, you had Triple H and Undertaker, you had the hardcore triple threat, TLC 2. Just incredible. So
the Legends Battle Royal or
gimmick Battle Royal.
Gimmick Battle Royal.
I saw that. I think I saw something recently that because Iron Sheik won that, I'm pretty sure. I think Iron Sheik was like 2 years younger than Sting is now when he won that match, which I think is pretty kind of funny. I love Sting. You know me. I love seeing him as a part of it now, but it is kind of funny when you think about it like that. David with another super chat, man. Thank you.
6 a.m., so I'm jumping into bed and going to watch on tablet till I sleep. But you guys are dope. Appreciate both of you. Awesome, David. Thanks for coming in, man. It sounds like this is the first time you've seen us, but we do this every Thursday. It sounds like you're in the UK, so it's probably late. We try to do this at 9 o'clock at my time, so we
9 a.m. 9 p.m.
Right? We're not doing 9 a.m.
But over there it's like 6 a.m.
Yeah, no, we went basically we've been doing this every Thursday for like the past couple of months, and it's been pretty dope. So thanks for joining us. Manias for me, God, I have. So when I say WrestleMania, what does immediately pop into your head?
The first thing I think of is Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. And you know what's insane to me about that? Like, Nia Jax, by the way, has been in the business for almost like 7 years, 8 years at this point. Isn't that crazy? But like, think about Hogan's run from like WrestleMania 1 to 8. It's only 8 years. And like, how much he accomplished. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. 100%.
Like,
yeah, I totally agree. And they have the same finisher, him and Nia. So, I mean.
Oh, God. But I'm just saying, like, to me, that is so crazy.
No, I agree. I totally agree. Yeah, it's fine. And then he did it again in WCW, which is even crazier. Never will happen again.
And that makes him the GOAT, in my opinion, because he wasn't just a heel. He was the best heel. And he was the best babyface. And he drew a ton of money. And he went head-to-head with Stone Cold Steve Austin and won for a while. And Stone Cold had a huge age advantage. He was fresh. He was new. Hogan had to completely reinvent himself. So, yeah, he deserves a ton of credit. But if you want to talk about Hogan, I mean, to me, like, immediately I think of, like, him and Macho at 5, Hogan and Warrior at 6, Hogan and Slaughter at 7, and to me, like, 8 is the last Hogan.
You didn't even mention
WWE
Andre.
thing. Yeah, for sure, but that's not to me. Like, I think of Mania.
That makes sense.
Like,
I see what you're saying.
I started watching wrestling at WrestleMania 4. I got the double VHS tape, WrestleMania 4. If you listen to Conrad, that's exactly when he started watching. I think it was something about the double VHS tape. Like, you saw, oh my God, I get 2 for 1. Like, if you're at the rental store and you see 2 videotapes, you were like, I can rent this and it doesn't cost anything extra, and I get 2 wrestling tapes. And I saw Macho win the title. And so I was always a huge Macho fan. And that's really where it all started, is Macho Man, Hogan, the whole 9. And then like WrestleMania 7, my mom bought it for my birthday at Kmart, and they were like $50. Like, you had to pay like a huge amount to buy those things on video back then. And I got it for my birthday, and we watched it at my birthday party. Like, I had all my friends over, and we watched WrestleMania 7. And, of course, nobody's seen it because we never bought pay-per-view.
Right.
And I don't know what it was, but I actually talked my mom into buying pay-per-view, and I got Survivor Series 1990 when Undertaker debuted. I remember that, like, clear as day. He scared the crap out of me because he literally, like, he couldn't be hurt. He destroyed everybody.
I remember one of my friends telling me he literally cried the first time he saw The Undertaker. Like,
yeah, I wouldn't go that. Papa Shango was a different story. That guy freaked me out. Like,
people puke.
With the Warrior and all that stuff. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's definitely. But like, if you want to talk about modern wrestling, I mean, Shawn Michaels, like Mr. WrestleMania, he absolutely is. But there's so many good WrestleMania matches and moments. Like, you really can just pick and choose out of each one. Like, yeah. I mean, even to me, like, something memorable was Lawrence Taylor and Bam Bam Bigelow. Like, that was a big deal back then. It was the main event. And by the way, if you rewatch that, Lawrence Taylor is so gassed. It is not even funny. He's literally hanging on Bam Bam, like hanging on him. And Bam Bam's trying to carry him through. But, like, I just remember it always feeling like that larger than life. I remember the Hogan going in and beating Yokozuna. But, like, to me, Hulkamania at that point was done. Like, he wasn't the same. He was way smaller. The steroids had stopped. And that was right before he went off for WCW. He had a black eye. Like I said, like, it's really from WrestleMania 1 to 8 is prime Hogan. Like, that's what made millions and millions and millions of fans was those years. So, but yeah, like, if you want to talk about modern stuff, though, I mean, Shawn Michaels, Undertaker, I was there for that.
Yeah.
And that was my first WrestleMania also, and that was wild. Like, I just remember, like, looking around the crowd and just seeing, like, waves of reactions. Like, it like filtered through, so, like, it took a while till it got to your section, right? But, like, everybody's marking out. It was wild. It was really cool.
That's one of my favorite. That's way up there. It's definitely in my top. I did like my top 4. There was like a Mount Rushmore quote tweet thing I did of WrestleMania matches, and Undertaker and Michaels, their first WrestleMania match against each other, I have it as one of the best 4 ever. I
really like the second one too.
I like the second one really too, good. But it's like of all time, because I think my 4 were like the 4 that I picked were that the first Undertaker, Shawn, the TLC match from WrestleMania 17.
Yeah.
Hogan versus The Rock. I just think just crowd reaction alone, like that has to be on there. And then the other one was Savage and Steamboat that I put on there.
Well, and think about that too, right? Like we're talking about Hogan from way back of WrestleMania 1 through 8. This dude comes back at WrestleMania 18 and takes the crown. Like it's unbelievable.
To the point where they have to put the title on him.
Right. So over that he had to win the title that I was there for. And like I don't think the TV like it gives that moment justice. Like, dude, it's one of the loudest pops I've ever been a part of because everybody wanted it.
The Triple H one, right? When he beat Triple H.
When he beat Triple H, like everybody wanted it. I remember it like when he won, like it was almost like the whole stadium turned white because everybody was taking pictures. And like it was just this huge, massive pop. And it wasn't a pop. To me, a pop isn't just a sound. It's when you see the arms in the air and you see like people like, yeah. It's that emotion. That's the ones that really get you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, and I mean Daniel Bryan, right? Winning Taker, losing to Brock, it's unbelievable moment. Like
I was at that one. Yeah.
Regardless of how you feel about it, like that was a moment
for sure.
And it's rare in wrestling to be able to have something so believable that like you're so shocked that it happened. Like, and I remember like, I was like, dude, he just took like 3 F5s. If he kicks out of this is so stupid. Like, I'm so over this streak at this point. Because
what I know, I remember you thought, I remember your videos. I remember you saying like, it wasn't even worth doing anymore because there was no way of anybody beating him at WrestleMania. I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
And what really burned me out was the Shawn matches because Shawn literally would give him everything in the kitchen sink and he would kick out. Brock finally like just gave him like 3 F5s and I'm sitting there like, dude, if he kicks out of this stuff, this is so stupid. It was like 1, 2, 3, and me and Bill just looked at each other like
that was a mistake, right?
That just happened. Well, and then they didn't officially announce it.
Right.
So then
the graphic
like,
was the well, the
right, but then like Heyman was celebrating it and then they didn't officially announce it and I was just like, huh? And
when I was in the
crowd is just like
being in the crowd, all you saw was the ring and just nothing. So like you can't even tell Heyman is like freaking out because like the camera isn't up on him or anything. Like for like the live crowd, it's just black screens and everybody in complete shock. So for us, it was when that fucking graphic went up with the 21-1, and then we were all like, no, like that actually, like that was, we thought it was all a mistake and they were gonna have to like play it off like that the match was gonna keep going or something.
Yeah, dude,
that was man. I'll never forget walking around the concessions after that match, and just all the fans, just all of us looking at each other, just complete confusion. We were all like literally in shock. It was fucking sorry.
Was anybody like cheering?
I know a handful of people that were at that show that really liked Brock winning that match, but it was because of the same reasons that you would give now of like, if not him, then who? But like no one really saw the Roman. My thing was that it should have been Bray Wyatt. I said that back then. That was a WrestleMania that he lost to John Cena. He was undefeated. You know, if he would have beat The Undertaker at that show, I would have had no problem with it. The next year it was dead by the time they actually did the match because he had already lost by that point. They should have, or they could have waited until. I mean, they didn't know Roman was going to be in the position they want that position years later, but. Realistically speaking, in hindsight, it should have been Roman at WrestleMania 33 is like what should have just done it. Yep. And then Undertaker should have actually retired and not come back after that.
Dude, there might have been a riot. Like, as hated as Roman was, if Roman actually ended the streak, I think there might have been a riot.
Especially because the match actually sucked. Like, the actual match was bad. So...
They might have accepted it more than too, because that was the first time where you saw Taker really look like, oh yeah, it's over.
Couldn't get him up in the tombstone and stuff. It was that was.
And I remember like thinking to myself, like, dude, when is Taker gonna fall off? Like he keeps having match of the year candidates, and then like, dude, he fell off a cliff, and it was not good. And then he just refused to hang him up, and it was like, ugh. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So, But yeah, no, WrestleMania, I mean, it's always fun. It's always something to look forward to. I think this is pretty lackluster. I mean, if you want to talk about last year's, to me, the Boneyard match was the highlight of WrestleMania. I didn't really care for much more than that. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens was pretty good too. The ladder match was decent, but like, dude, it just no crowd. I mean, nothing. And that was such a weird time, such an eerie time.
Yeah.
So I have a hard time with that one, just even placing it or whatever. I feel like this one's going to be way better just because we have a crowd and all this stuff. By the way, what the hell is a Nigerian drum match or whatever?
I don't know. I mean, I can start going through the WrestleMania card if you want. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to go too much longer because I'm like mentally completely fried right now.
The man has nothing left, people. We have taken him to his end.
But we can go through the card. I mean, both nights to get the predictions out there because that's obviously something that was going to come up. Like, what is that match? So I mean, we might as well just start there. If y'all have super chats and stuff, still we'll address your questions in your comments, and put your predictions out there. But yeah, I have no idea. What I had heard from Bryan Alvarez, like on his show, was that like what everyone initially thought was it might be a bunch of people around the ring, like with drums or something, or you could use the drum. But what it actually is being explained as is in Nigerian culture or something, you beat someone like a drum, like you beat them so bad that you beat them like a drum. So maybe this is just a street fight of some kind. I mean, it just seems, dude, it literally sounds like it's just going to be Apollo Crews versus Big E again. And they are, they've had the match enough times over and over to the point where they're just like, well, it's on WrestleMania. Let's just make it a Nigerian drum match. I don't know, dude. I think Big E will win again, by the way, just for my prediction.
Yeah, I think Big E's going to win. That's terrible. And Mr. Rosenberg saying that we need to stick with more progressive people's mindsets when it comes to wrestling.
Yeah.
And yet you're going to be promoting a Nigerian drum match. Like, save it. You work for a company that has definitely struggled with racism, and then you want to accuse Dave of not being progressive enough when, trust me, Dave's pretty progressive. So the whole thing is nonsense. I can't stand that guy. He's a clown. He has absolutely no business in wrestling, and he's terrible when it comes to music too, and he's definitely one of these woke beta idiots that thinks that WWE is like a certain standard and everything else in wrestling doesn't matter. Like, he's a WWE corporate shill clown.
Yeah, I'm not going to say all that about the guy, but I will say is like, I don't think he's, I don't really, he does nothing for me.
Who the hell are you to talk about Dave Meltzer though? Like,
no, I saw it. Yeah.
Like Dave was a smart mark writing smart mark reports about WrestleMania 2. You know what I mean? Like a totally different mindset, been involved in the business for so long, credible sources. Yes, he's hit and miss on some things. I don't always agree with him, but there's people that have respected. I respect their opinions just because of what they've put into this business. Dave Meltzer is one of those people. Even Jim Cornette is one of those people. Like, yeah, he's a jerk, but I'll also give him credit for who he is and what he knows in the business. Doesn't mean I have to agree with him.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I knew about Rosenberg forever ago. I mean, like, I remember because to be fair, he did interview wrestlers years and years ago when most people weren't interviewing wrestlers. Sam Roberts is the same way, except I really like Sam Roberts. But with Rosenberg, it's he lost a lot of credibility when that whole War Machine thing, if you remember that. Like, that was pretty eye-opening because he was like talking all this. He was basically, I don't even know what the right word is. He was pretending to be really knowledgeable about indie wrestling, and then he got really exposed. And it's like, oh, you don't actually watch, like, you are a straight up WWE shill. Like, that's, and that's just, and the thing is, Sam Roberts is a WWE shill, but like, he doesn't like hide from he's always wanted to work for the WWE. He doesn't try to be anything that he isn't. And you can still find interviews that he's done with like Adam Cole from like 10 years ago. Like, the guy was a hardcore indie fan Now he's just more WWE guy because that's where he works. Just is what it is.
Right.
Other matches, we got. I mean, the thing is, this should be pretty quick because I really don't want to deep dive in a lot of these. I'm just going to be dead honest. I just don't care enough.
I mean, honestly, we don't need to go over every match. What I'm looking forward to, Edge versus Roman versus Daniel Bryan. They're also having like a little documentary thing on Edge on Peacock on Saturday. That looks pretty good. That might actually give you more hype for the match. I think Lashley and McIntyre has potential, but we'll see what they want to do. I think it could be like a 20-minute false finish type match, or it could be a 10-minute nothing. So we'll see on there. I think Bianca and Sasha is going to be a good match. I just think the build-up's terrible, and I think Bianca's going to win. McIntyre and Lashley, I think McIntyre's going to win.
Yeah, so do I. I think it's gonna be the first match of WrestleMania. I think they're.
Oh God!
It's gonna be the big. It's gonna be the big. McIntyre will be the first one to come out, so the crowd's going crazy. They're gonna try to totally redo this past year, but what's gonna wind up happening is they've shot themselves in the foot because now people actually want Bobby Lashley to be the champion. So now you're in a situation where you're going to try to run this back, and McIntyre is going to win at WrestleMania, and you're going to try to redo the last year of his run. Except now the fans are there's going to be fans there to actually boo him now because now everybody wants Lashley to be the champion. So they're just shooting themselves in the foot with how they've gone about doing this. Because what this really should have been is McIntyre holding the title the whole time and Lashley beating him for it at WrestleMania. Then maybe you can build to next year's WrestleMania, and maybe McIntyre can beat him for it like a year from now. And then that helps everybody.
Win the title, like that was nonsense. Then have Lashley beat the Miz on Raw, then break up the Hurt Business. Like the whole thing is, the whole thing is just not. But that's why I feel like McIntyre is going to win, is because they broke up the Hurt Business, and I think McIntyre is going to win.
Same.
So I think Randy and Bray is going to be an absolute disaster. Same. I think the crowd is going to crap all over that match.
Yep.
So yeah, there's that.
Let's make predictions though. While you're going through them, just get them out on the record. You got so with Roman, we're all kind of all over the place. I'm just going here. I'll just go because you can literally just say winners and losers when I go through this until we get to something that's actually worth talking about. So Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler versus tag team turmoil winners. I'm on night 2. Let me start on night 1. Night 1, Lana and Naomi versus Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose versus the Riot Squad versus Natalya and Tamina. The winner of that match wrestles Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax the next night. So which team do you think will win that one?
I have no idea.
Just pick it. I don't care either. So I'm gonna say Lana. Lana's team. Lana and Naomi.
Sure. She finally wins a big one.
Yeah, this will be, and then she'll put Nia Jax.
WrestleMania moment.
She'll put Nia Jax through a table in night 2, and that'll be the big who cares.
Yeah,
after that, we have
the next one.
The next one. Well, this will be a good match. There's no stakes, but it'll be good. Cesaro and Seth Rollins.
Oh yeah. It seems like they're kind of pushing Cesaro, right?
I think he re-signed recently, and that's a big part of this.
Seth Rollins' gimmick is awful. His whole drip troll crap, like, oh my God, the poor guy. Like, he deserves it too. Like, I have mixed feelings on Seth, and I didn't at all when he first signed. Like, I was all aboard, big Seth Rollins fan, but now this dude is just a mess. Anyways, I'm gonna go with Cesaro.
I'm going with Cesaro too for the same reasons. I just think it's an opportunity. I mean, he's had many opportunities. Or it's not his fault that he's not booked to win big matches. But like, if it looks like they are trying to get behind him more, I don't know why they haven't already up to this point. Even if the guy isn't good on the microphone, the Heyman thing didn't work out, but that was more on Heyman's end than on his end, and that was more about Brock Lesnar. There's a lot of reasons there, but I'm with you. I think Cesaro should get this win, and it doesn't really hurt Rollins to lose at this point. He's always kind of going to be like a top WWE guy no matter what. So after that, we have the match that I'm probably looking forward to the least. We've got Braun Strowman taking on, I can't even say this without laughing. Yes, Shane McMahon in a steel cage. I don't want to talk about it. Just give me a winner or loser. I do not want to talk about this match.
I think Shane's I don't know. Damn.
This is taking way too long. I'm taking Braun Strowman.
Yeah, because who's the face? Braun?
Yes, because Shane McMahon slimed him with Nickelodeon Gak. So
and he did hopscotch, I saw. Anyways, okay, so we'll go with Braun, and I think Shane will take some type of bump that'll make this match at least worth it. Next.
The only way Shane wins is if it's like Vince McMahon St. Valentine's Day's massacre style, and he gets like thrown through the cage or something. Like that's the only way. Or off the cage.
You're right.
Yeah,
off the cage.
But I'm gonna take Braun still because who cares? After that, we have the New Day versus AJ Styles and Omos, which I'm actually looking forward to because if Omos can wrestle at all, I'm very excited about the potential with him because of his size and his look.
I bet he sucks.
He's been, I gotta give him credit though, the little bit he's done. They fancy it up with the camera angles and stuff, but he does look brutal when he's holding people up in the air and throwing them through stuff. I mean, but
I bet he is so bad. But I'm gonna go with AJ and him. Or this is what I really dread. New Day wins and AJ and him break up and then they feud. So that could happen too. I'm going to go with New Day actually then. Yeah, New Day.
Yeah, I'm going to go with AJ and Omos because I think that they will. I mean, inevitably they will split, but I think they're going to be a little bit of a tag team for a minute.
This is AJ's last year and they're going to basically make him his whole last year trying to put this guy over.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to be one of two things, man. He's either going to go out there and surprise a lot of people, or it's going to be like we were talking about last week, and it's going to be a Stanley basketball office moment where like Omos gets out there and he can't move around. We're all like, oh no, we thought he was going to be good.
He's going to look like Khali. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Just goes out there, starts chopping people in the head.
Giant Gonzalez. Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways, after that, here we go. This is a banger. Feel free to send super chats if y'all have thoughts of this incredible lineup. We've got Bad Bunny and Damian Priest. This is so bad versus the Miz and Morrison. A lot of people are into this.
Bad Bunny's winning this thing. There's
100%.
No way he's losing. And Miz would have no problem putting him over because he's all about just being put on entertainment magazines and everything else. Like he's all for the pub. And he likes creating WrestleMania moments, and they'll be like, hey, you remember when Bad Bunny beat the Miz?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's Bad Bunny's gonna win.
Yeah, 100%. 1 billion %.
Who would have thought that Bad Bunny would have been teaming with Punishment Martinez? Good God.
Well, not me, because I didn't know who Bad Bunny was until I saw him on WWE. But here's the thing. I get why he's a part of the show. I like the fact that he's a fan. Like he seems to be very respectful.
I will go Ryan Satin on you if you don't like Bad Bunny.
Oh yeah, right. Well, my thing is like I don't know Bad Bunny, so it's just like it just is what it is. But I know
he care about Bad Bunny. Like,
neither do I. But there are millions of people that do, and that's the whole point. Like that's the whole point.
Millions of people gonna watch. I don't know.
Yeah, but they don't.
I don't
care what we think. Okay, so after that match we already talked about. Final answer for a winner or loser, though. Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre.
Okay, Drew McIntyre.
I'm going Drew McIntyre as well. I think we both want Bobby to retain, but the smart pick's probably Drew. But I do think it'll be a very good match. Both guys have had very good matches. The stories have been
lame. They wrestled each other, too.
It's been good. It's been good.
Yeah, they have chemistry. It'll work.
And then we have Sasha and Bianca, which we both agree will probably be a really good match. I think that Bianca wins. What about you?
I think Bianca wins as well.
All right, so that's night one of WrestleMania. I'll say on paper, looks like about.
Imagine if Sasha feuds with Io Shirai. Ooh, that would be good.
It would be good. It would. I'm going to say WrestleMania night one on paper looks like about a 4 out of 10.
It's definitely not the one I'm looking forward to. That's for sure.
Yeah. What do you rate it if you had like a 1 out of 10 round numbers scoring system on paper? WrestleMania night one. I'd say it a 4 out of 10 on paper.
I'm like 5, maybe. I would be close to 6 if they had another decent match on there. That's basically where I'm at. And it's mainly just because I'm excited about having a crowd. It's the first time we'll see a crowd with the interaction, the whole 9. Like,
I'm saying on paper, though.
Big
just looking at the matches.
Okay, just the matches, it's a 4. But because it's Mania with those matches, it's close to a 6.
I understand. I'm trying to separate my idea because I am excited to see fans, like I've said. Like, that will add to this, seeing real crowd. Because realistically speaking, I'm only actually really looking forward to Seth Rollins and Cesaro, Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. I think Bianca and Sasha will be pretty decent, and I want to see Omos in the ring. But if he sucks, then that's going to be a gigantic letdown for me. And my hopes aren't super high. I just want him to be okay because I do think the guy looks unbeatable just by looking at him, and I think that's something that you just don't see that often. Moving on. Night 2, we have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax taking on the whoever wins the women's tag match tonight.
Lana and whoever else. I don't even remember.
Lana and Naomi. Who don't even know where
Shayna and Nia.
I'm gonna go. Lana gets the pin on Nia Jax.
Yeah.
And a whole bunch of people get really happy about that for some reason. After that, this match will be really good. The build-up sucks. But Riddle versus Sheamus is going to be a good match. Who do you think wins that one and for the United States Championship?
I'm going to go with Riddle, I hope.
Same. I love that he forgot his lines on Raw. That was hilarious.
That was fantastic. It's either he forgot or he thought they were so stupid that he just said, no, I'm not doing this.
Well, Fightful wound up getting a transcript of, like, supposedly what he was supposed to talk about during that. And, like, it wasn't surprising. Like, it could have been either of what you just said. Because it sounded real damn dumb what they wanted him to say.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm going to go Riddle as well. But I got to give Sheamus a lot of credit. He's having the most entertaining matches I've ever seen him have lately. So I will give him credit where it's due. And also now Riddle, during his entrance, when he flips his flip-flops off his feet, cartoon birds fly out of his ass.
That's real?
Screen, so.
That's real?
What do you mean it's real? Well, the birds aren't real, but yeah, they show that on the show.
But I mean, that's what they're really doing.
Yeah, birds fly out of his ass and, like, towards the screen.
Because I saw that on Twitter, but I thought it was just, like, people being dumb on Twitter.
Oh, no.
Like that's real.
No, they've been doing it the last 2 weeks. Like, that's a real thing.
Holy crap. Why?
Because they got the guy walking around talking about his bro nuts. You know what I mean? Like, that's where they're at with this guy. He's got a Razor scooter in 2021. Dude, I'm telling you. I don't mean to offend anybody, but with what I'm about to say, but, like, this is the honest to God truth. And I'm a big Riddle fan. Like, I was a big fan of his UFC career, big fan of his indie career. But I've met the guy multiple times.
He was damn good and Evolve.
Damn good. And now I can't remember. Oh, yeah. So about Riddle, I just lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Sorry. What I was going to say is this. If they had never done the Eugene character, that's what they'd be doing with Riddle right now.
Oh, my God.
No, I'm serious. It's pretty much the same thing. They've made him they've made him completely brain dead on the show. Completely.
Oh my God.
It's so far beyond just like a typical stoner type thing. It's like they have made him almost sound mentally challenged with the way he communicates with people. Because if you watch his interviews too, like he'll be talking to, like, his character is like so annoying to the other wrestlers that they disappear mid-conversation to just get away from him.
Like, so now what he's doing is disappearing mid-conversation. Like, oh, yeah. No, I'm not doing that.
Yeah, exactly. That was so funny. He's like, you guys have scooters in Japan, Oscar? Yeah, well, you know what? And also, you know what? This is so dumb. I'm just going to get out of here.
I'm not doing
that. Yeah. So anyways, I'm going to take Riddle. But I do think it'll be a good match.
Bad.
The build-up for the match, by the way, is Sheamus beating Riddle like last week on Raw. That's like the build-up for WrestleManias. Anyway, we have Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn, which on paper looks great. I think it'll be a good match, but the Logan Paul thing makes no sense to me.
Like, so could you imagine when you were watching Ring of Honor, you're like, yeah, this is going to be going to WWE, and they're going to add Logan Paul in it at Mania. Like, what? Why?
I know. It just doesn't. And I like Logan Paul, to be honest. Like, I do.
And, like, is Logan Paul going to knock out Sami Zayn? Like, it's just, oh my God.
You know what? That's probably exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's just like, we went from Fight Forever to just, like, Sami Zayn looking like a hobo and bringing in freaking Logan Paul.
Dude, I had like all these visions for years about Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens wrestling one-on-one at WrestleMania one day. And it was
not what you thought.
Well, my vision was like a babyface Sami Zayn, a heel Kevin Owens, and like that's the match where he hits the brain buster like on the top turnbuckle because he's never hit it in the WWE. And like if you're gonna ever go for it, like that's the moment, WrestleMania, the two of those guys together with all their history. But now I'm thinking more along your lines. It's like Kevin Owens will probably win because Logan Paul will probably like punch Sami Zayn and he'll like turn around and do a stunner and like that'll probably be it. So I'm going to hit Kevin Owens for my prediction.
I do not expect this to be like one of their great matches. I think this is more for entertainment aspects.
Agree. You have Kevin Owens as well?
Yeah, definitely.
After that, we got the Nigerian drum match that we've previously discussed.
Big E.
And yeah, we both got Big E. Moving on, we have The Fiend and Bray Wyatt. The Fiend and Alexa Bliss against Randy Orton. And it's great because, you have
Charcoal Man and Randy Orton.
Dude, and I think he looks so dumb in that.
So bad.
Dude.
And I remember listening to you and Jesse, and she was just like, yeah, I think he looks cool. And I'm like, what?
Did I say that I thought he looked dumb? I had to have, right?
I think you kind of held your breath. You were just like, yeah, that's cool. Like,
well, there's a lot of people that watch that show that like were really into it. So I didn't want to like
I get
but
it.
No, I think it's bad.
Him, but it looks really bad.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really bad as well.
Does Randy Orton win this, or is Bray now, or is the Fiend a burn Fiend like a new Kane that's like going to terrorize?
I mean, it's because here's the thing too. It's like this is just like a singles match, right? Like, no stipulation or anything. But we have a card full of Nigerian drum matches and turmoil matches and
Logan Paul and Bad Bunny
cage matches. Yeah, all these things that are like the stakes have been raised. There's a guy who's been literally burned to death in front of us. And they're just having a one-on-one wrestling match at WrestleMania. I don't know. This is actually probably the hardest one to predict on the whole show. I mean, it would make a lot more sense for the Fiend to win. So I'm going to say the Fiend. But
I'm going to say Randy just because like he's been getting like screwed around with all the stuff and like messed with, and like this will be like his final way to get revenge. Yeah. And then maybe the Fiend is dead after that. And then Bray Wyatt just comes back as Bray Wyatt. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's possible too. All sounds pretty lame. After that, we have Asuka versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's Championship. This could be a good match. The buildup was Rhea Ripley debuting on Raw and then asking for a match at WrestleMania for the title.
And it was going to be Charlotte, Asuka, Rhea Ripley, I'm guessing, but they took Charlotte out. I don't know.
Yeah.
It'd be a good match, but I don't know. I guess Rhea Ripley.
Yeah, I'm going to take Rhea as well. I think it'll be solid. I like Asuka, and I like Rhea. She's like anybody else, though, that's been recently called up. I don't know what – ultimately, it just matters what Vince thinks about her, and I don't know what he thinks about her. And then we have the main event, which I really do think will be very good, and this is the main reason that I am watching the show. Like, this is good stuff. Roman Reigns, Edge, Daniel Bryan. We've talked about it a little bit already. I'll throw it out there. I think Edge pins Daniel Bryan. Yeah, I think that Edge wins the title because it's the whole 10 years from the time he lost the belt, and Roman doesn't have to take a pin. And then I think they do Roman and Edge one-on-one a month or two from now, and Roman beats Edge to get the belt back one-on-one, and then doesn't he holds it until they can finally do him and The Rock, next year at WrestleMania if they can put it together. But because I think as much as I want Roman to keep the belt, and I've been very strong about that the whole time, I think that in this scenario, it doesn't hurt Roman at all because it's strictly Edge beating Daniel Bryan. And then as long as Roman beats Edge one-on-one whenever they wrestle for the title, Roman doesn't actually lose out anywhere, I feel like.
So I feel that Roman is going to win, and Edge is going to be the rated R superstar against Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan cost him everything. He cost him his moment. He cost him all this. Like, he's a young punk that's in his way, and every day the door closes on Edge further and further, and he's super pissed that Daniel Bryan even got involved. So I think it's going to lead to an Edge Daniel Bryan type feud, and because at the end of the day, Roman is a heel. And if he faces Edge as a heel as well, you have two heels, and it just doesn't make sense. So to me, Edge is the rated R superstar. It makes sense that he would go after the babyface Daniel Bryan.
Sure, I get that too. I think that all logically speaking makes total sense.
But this is the WWE, and they don't make a lot of logical decisions, so I could be totally wrong. But that's what I'm going to go with.
It's also totally possible that that does happen, where even if Edge wins the title, you do get Edge and Daniel Bryan like the next month or the month after, and Roman's just losing his mind and destroying everybody in front of him until he gets another shot at that belt. And as long as ultimately Roman Reigns is the champion most of the next year and isn't taking any pins or submissions himself, I'm okay with it. But there's good options, and they can always go with that whole story with Edge where he had to be the rated R superstar but it was only for that, but he's not. But I do like the rated R superstar gimmick way better than like the I'm happy to be here again Edge that we had before.
Yeah, I agree. Almost like a paranoid Edge too. Like he knows his time's almost up, and so he's like, I have to do this right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that.
That sense of urgency.
Okay, so that's a wrap on WrestleMania. Real quick, I just want to know your thoughts on the Will Ospreay Kota Ibushi match.
Yes. I thought the match was very good. I knew the finish.
How strange was it that they immediately went into like 5 minutes of mat wrestling?
Yeah, the only reason I was expecting that is because when the person who sent me the match to watch, when I opened it, I saw how long the video was. So I was like, oh, okay, this is like an hour-long video. So I figured it was going to start slow. But of course, I knew the outcome before I watched the match, so that took a little bit away from it because I knew Ospreay was going to win.
Oh, dude, I legit popped. I had no idea. I stayed away from the internet. I woke up in the morning. I put on New Japan, and I watched it. And man, when he gave him the elbow, I was like, holy crap, he might win this thing. And then when he did, and I was just like, because it's another level for Ospreay that you can't take away now. He's a New Japan champion. And so the credibility is there and just makes everything fresh now. It's not Naito and Jay White and all that, it's
Okada, Tanahashi.
Ibushi was fresh as a champion, but we had seen him in a lot of different matches. And you could say somewhat for Ospreay too, but I love it. I'm not sure about the United Empire. I think Jeff Cobb's a nice muscle piece for him. And I'm not a big fan of the other two guys, but I do like the faction in itself. And it seems like they're getting a big push, and Ospreay is the guy. And they already sold out their next show. So that's a good sign. But I absolutely love Ospreay. I think he's amazing. And if you've noticed, his style has definitely changed. He is nowhere near the high flyer he was. But it's kind of like Shawn Michaels, 1996-ish, where he's extremely athletic. He'll bump. He'll do some high spots, but he's picking and choosing now. He's not just going balls to the wall like he used to. But he can have great matches with Shingo, and he can do everything. He can do a 450 splash. He can do all this stuff, but he just doesn't do it just random spot fest anymore. And I feel like he's gotten way better on the mic. I think he's ready, man. I think this is his time. And I really think there's going to be some serious competition for Wrestler of the Year this year.
Yeah. I mean, he's an incredible wrestler. There's a few things I for instance, I really like that Jeff Cobb attacked Kota Ibushi right after the match too, because I do want to see a high profile match between those two. Yeah. I am confused about the booking because it just felt like we waited so long for Ibushi to win it, and then they made this whole new belt and it was for him and all this stuff, and the next thing you know, someone new has it. This is going to sound really strange, and you probably totally disagree, and you have to let me say this through.
Yeah, good.
I I like the Stormbreaker better than the Oscutter, but I don't like the Stormbreaker as a finisher.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where, like, I the only dig I've ever had on Ospreay, it's very similar to I say the same thing about Trey Miguel all the time with the Meteora. His whole moveset is cooler than his finisher. Like, everything else he does is cooler than his finisher. And I just don't. Yeah. That's the only thing that's strange to me. Even the Oscutter, it looks impressive, but it's like, after I've seen him do all this other stuff, you're winning with the Diamond Cutter. Like, I see people do that move all the time now. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I will say this, that the back elbow to the head now has really become his big finisher. And if you mix it with the other moves, I think it looks pretty damn good.
That's a good point, because he did hit the back elbow before the Stormbreaker. So I do agree there. But I do think the back elbow as a finisher alone is the best of those options to just finish matches by whacking people like that.
Well, and it's perfect because he's a heel, and it just brings a more vicious side to him. And I just think it works really well, especially when you mix it with the high flying. Like, to me, an athletic high flyer that has a vicious streak that also can go hardcore, like, those are some of the best wrestling matches you can find. So I'm really looking forward to Ospreay's run. I think he faces Shingo. I think he beats Shingo, and then him and Okada in a stadium is going to be sick.
And he needs to go over Okada. He has to.
Yeah, that's huge, because he's never beat Okada, and so that would be the thing. But damn, dude, if he does that, he's beating Ibushi, Shingo, and Okada like within 3 months. So then it's like he's the guy. You know what I mean?
Except for the real guy.
Whatever.
Kenny Omega, what are you talking about?
Yeah, okay, I get it, but I
no,
feel
dude, I'm
like,
just kidding around. I know you love Ospreay. I'm just trolling you. Like,
I get it, but to me with Kenny, it's like we are getting a totally different version than the New Japan version. Like, yes, when he wrestles, it's big and all that, but like, it's all over the place right now. And I feel like with what he's going to have a problem with Ospreay is just going to have a set schedule. He's going to go out there every pay-per-view, every big New Japan Day match or whatever, and he's going to kill it. And Kenny, I just don't know. I don't know how many times he's actually just going to go out there and just kill it.
Yeah.
So how many opportunities Kenny's will? Because Kenny can do it every time, but how many opportunities will Kenny have?
Sure. And one other thing that I think was interesting is I have heard some kind of chatter here and there from fans that kind of, who knows if this is the truth or not, but they're kind of saying, like, because a lot of people are confused about, like, Ibushi losing the title right now, especially with Omega, like, calling him out recently and stuff. And it's like, that's obviously, like, the biggest, non-WWE match in the world would be the Ibushi and Kenny.
Don't you think, though, like, let's say Ospreay goes on, like, a year reign all the way to Wrestle Kingdom, him and Kenny would be huge.
It would be huge, but they just don't have that backstory like him and Kenny, right? But I keep losing my train of thought.
But like Ospreay, he could literally say, like, I took your spot. I'm the top gaijin now. You left this company, and now you're over there playing with your little friends, and, like, I'm the best wrestler in the world. Like, they could have a legit good story in that too.
Yeah, they really could. I mean, Ospreay's gonna have a bunch of good matches. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. I was gonna say something about that, but I lost my train of thought. It's just been a long day, and my brain's fried.
No, it's okay. I think
Ospreay is obviously an incredible wrestler. Like, I don't think anybody can say any differently that he's just a super solid in-ring worker. I'm trying to think. There was something I'm going to say about his New Japan, but I'm sure I'll remember and I'll just hit you up on the DMs, or we'll talk about it next week. But I am looking forward to seeing his run with the belt. So yeah, we'll see kind of how it all plays out.
And all of a sudden, that belt doesn't look so bad now that he has it. I don't know what it is. There's just something about it.
Yeah, I guess.
But he's got the Rev Pro belt. He's got that belt. He had the trophy from the New Japan Cup. Like, he's living his best life right now.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing where if him and Kenny did clash and they're both holding a bunch of belts, like, that does look pretty cool. Like, seeing something where, like, it really feels like everything's on the line.
And what if both of them are like borderline wrestler of the year? Both of them right there, like neck and neck. If we had like the Adam Cole and Kenny Omega type when it was that run, like what if it was the same thing, but you get to see him wrestle at the end of the year? I mean, I think that's huge. Like imagine Ospreay and Kenny Omega at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that'd be
like, and I know we called out Punk and all that stuff, but I mean, like you're really wishing for the stars to think that's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I do not have my hopes up at to any level that we'll see CM Punk wrestling again. Like if we do, cool. I'll watch, but like I'm not sitting there like every AEW pay-per-view like
right. Is he coming?
Like yeah, exactly.
So all right, Steven, let's call it a night. It's been a late night. If you guys haven't yet, please hit that like button or appreciate it. We got a lot of stuff to, we didn't even go over hardly any MMA stuff. We have a ton to go over on that too. So next week might be heavy on some MMA and we'll see what happens. It's going to be weird though, because NXT will be on Tuesday, Impact on Wednesday or AEW on Wednesday, Dynamite, Impact on Thursday. So it's definitely going to be a change in the schedule. But we'll be here and we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about. So if you guys, like I said, please hit that like button, subscribe, all that good stuff. And follow me and Steve on Twitter. I'll post the links. I'll clean this thing up when we're done and put some timestamps on and stuff like that. But we really appreciate it. And we will catch you guys later.
Yeah, enjoy wrestling. IWTV, use code Fight Talk. It supports my show. IndependentWrestling.tv. Watch IndependentWrestling.tv. Showcase of the Independents. Use code Fight Talk. Thank you guys.
Bam.